All right, welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. This podcast is dedicated to the principles of logic and teaching you how to reason at the highest level. I am your gracious host, Enos, and we are doing a Thanksgiving theme, different topic today. We will cover a lot of topics and themes dealing with Thanksgiving. But first, let me introduce my guest, man, Angel Fontanes. What's going on, sir?
How you doing? How you doing? Great to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to see you
Good.
back, man. My guy.
Yes.
What's going on? Only facts and stats. What's up?
Yo, how's everybody, man?
Ah, man, I'm doing good. I can't
Yeah,
speak for
man.
everybody. I'm doing good, man.
Ready for this?
Yeah, man. I'm glad to have you back, man. And my guy, Derek Bang. What's up? Muted.
What's going on? Glad to be here. Let's rock.
Let's rock, man. Glad to see you as well. And my guy, Will. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on, fellas? Salute. How y'all doing?
Man,
What up, Cole?
I'm doing all right. My guy, Freshly Snipes, man. What's up, brother?
Just so you get my shots up, man. Let's get to it.
Right.
No,
right.
don't do that.
Not-
Trash. Trash.
fan?
You ain't got no flick of the wrist. Where your goddamn that? Get him off the court, coach.
That
Bang,
shirt
coaching, Bang.
kind of tight, man. I can't really. No.
Man, that shouldn't matter, man. You got, man, come on.
Yeah.
You got that smoke.
and my guy Vulcan, man, while we doing the show, man, we still doing it. What's going on, sir?
What's the deal, my people out there? I'm excited. We got a Thanksgiving themed show, as Eno said. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna make you think a little bit. So put your thinking cap on now. Don't put the dunce cap on. For those who old enough to know what that is, we're putting thinking cap on today. Let's get to it.
What an awkward guy.
Let's get it to it. Let's so the first question. Pull this up. The first question I'm gonna go over. I want to get y'all thoughts on this. All right,
No.
first question. Thank you for that. Fresh. Do we have reasons? Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? Let's just start with that question first. Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? I'm gonna go ahead and start with my. Let's get Angel in here.
Well, I can speaking for myself. I grew up hip hop. I grew up early in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in New York City area, Newark, New Jersey. I had a couple cousins of mine who were on the Rocksteady crew, and one of them was on the New York City Breakers. And how it came to me was I lived a young kid in Trenton, New Jersey, and I saw hip hop coming up, and I saw it how it affected us because before hip hop there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of stuff going on, and so I think me personally, hip hop saved me from the streets, and it shaped not only me but a lot of my friends' upbringing. Now, as far as what is evolved to today.
Well, we might get into the how it would evolve. I just want to focus on having more reasons to be thankful. So
Yeah, I'm thankful for hip hop. It saved me and a lot of my siblings. Yes.
Okay. And you know what? I want to say this too. And like you say, you grew up in the the 60s and 70s. And for I don't know if a lot of people on this panel thought about this perspective. For some of these gentlemen that's on the panel, they actually remember a world before hip hop versus our generation. It was always there. So they might have I think they have a different perspective on how they view hip hop because they remember a world before hip hop was even here, All right, so let me get my guy Only Facts, man. Do we have any more reasons? Talk to me.
We should absolutely be thankful for hip hop. Should we be more thankful for hip hop than Thanksgiving? Is that the question?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. We definitely got reasons to be thankful for hip hop. Definitely. Yes.
More reasons to be thankful. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Derek Band, I did this. I tailored this topic for you, man. So talk to me, man. I'm joking.
What a question, man. I plead the fifth. I mean, I don't even know. Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? I mean, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. So the first no we have.
That the game's
Okay.
Word.
Okay. Will.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with more reasons to be thankful than not to be thankful. Yes, I'm gonna say
so we got-
definitely yes.
Okay, so we got 3 yeses and 1 no. Fresh.
Yes.
Okay. Said it with his chest. Okay. All right. Vulcan.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, no. All right.
Contrarian.
All right.
He got his mug and he got his shirt zipped all the way up to the tippy top. He's
It's
ready
gonna
for
be a
smoke.
long one, boys. Pause.
2 no's. All right, I'm gonna switch the order. I'm gonna start with Will first, man. Tell me why you say yeah. There's more reasons than not.
Like my man was saying, from New York, actually
Jersey.
saved a lot of lives, man. A lot of people who had hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just count. I was
Oh.
gonna count your read. One of them is saved all lives. I was thinking out loud. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, it legitimized a lot of people who really weren't getting opportunities and chances. Maybe they made a mistake, maybe in their past and things like that. So it gave jobs and opportunities, but creative outlets, for people who maybe didn't feel like they had another way or skill to express themselves. That maybe they don't know how to paint, or draw, or build something. Maybe they don't go fishing. So, it was something for them to be creative in a positive way and get out there and fellowship with other people. And yeah, I think it saved some lives and, introduced us to, a new form of
I got you.
artistry, musical artistry.
All right. Okay, I got you. So save lives, jobs, and positivity. I got you. All right. So hey, for the panel, be sure to mute your phones. Mute your phones. I'm hearing a lot of background noises. Or if you have to mute yourself, please. It's just distracting. Bring Angel in here. Your reasons.
Yeah. So again, going back to my childhood, back before hip hop came around, it was a lot of gang banging going on. Really didn't have, the culture was kind of like lost in the mix. We really didn't have anything back then. And so when hip hop came around in maybe to me the early to mid 70s and all the way up into the mid 80s or something like that. Well, not even the mid 80s, 85, I would say 86, something like that. It just changed a lot. It just changed a lot because we just had something else to look forward to. People that wasn't good in sports, you can have some kind of artistry and breakdancing and doing hip hop, rapping and electric boogaloo, all kinds of things that you can just do and make yourself popular. Back then when hip hop was out, it brought out so many movements. So, like I was just talking, the breakdancing, electric boogaloo, turntables, graffiti. It brought out so much artistry all the way around. And I saw it save so many people back in the days. But again, it's different now. So that's my
Okay.
thing.
All right, so the same thing Will was saying, it actually saved lives, man. So let me bring only facts and stats, man.
Yo, so I think that I can definitely say that we as African Americans are the most influential culture in the world, and I think that I can absolutely say that it's through hip hop that we are the most influential, right? Hip hop is our #1 export in our community. You know, hip hop has created, has shown how creative we are, and it has shown, and it has carried on a lot of traditions that we have historically as far as storytelling, and created some of the greatest entrepreneurs in our society have been created through hip hop. Now, I'll also recognize that just like every other musical genre that I can think of, maybe except for gospel, that some other things, violence and violent ideation and other things that are negative have crept in, but it is still by far the #1 export of African Americans. So I definitely think that we should be thankful for it.
Okay.
If for no other reason than that.
All right, Derek Bang, talk to me, man. Derek Bang.
Well, I mean, the reason that I said no was, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I was talking and you kept calling my name. All right. So the reason that I said no was, I mean, when you look at what mainstream hip hop promote, and just said, you've got the violence, drug use, hypersexuality, monogamy, greed, materialism, like you said, we're influential. So the saggy pants and everything about the culture, for me as a believer, I look at it as it's promoted more stuff to get you caught in yourself, and it keeps you even further away from the creator. So for me, that's why I say no.
Mm. All right. Fresh as Snipes, man. You said yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of preface, while I agree with Derek Bain and a couple other panelists that hip hop has given a platform or a loudspeaker, if you will, to some of the baser aspects of our culture. I think those things, for the most part, existed before hip hop came along. Almost every form of music, to Derek Bain's point, is a form of look at me outside of gospel, which is kind of designed to to elevate the Lord. But I say yes because overall, I think that it's created independence for people, for marginalized people. It's given a voice to a marginalized people. It's created financial independence. Maybe not folks are not making the best decisions with that, but it's their money to do with that as they will. So I think overall, for the people as a whole, I think it's a positive
as a whole. Okay. All right. Vulcan.
Yes, sir. So real quickly, before I get into my reason why, I want to say that I think Enos was eager to get on this topic. So right here, so we're going to switch. I'm going to moderate the show, and Enos is going to become one of the more primary panelists. So he wants to give a little bit of insight and some wisdom. So we're going to switch it out a little bit. So now for me to get to my why, and then we're going to go into the transition of it. So my why for it is simply similar to what Derek said, but it has to do with the fact that are we more thankful for it than not? So one thing I do appreciate about hip hop is the rapping element of it. I love words. I love figurative language. I love double entendres and similes. We go to school. We learn an English class so we can be great writers. We celebrate guys like Shakespeare with iambic pentameter and things of that nature. And he created words like assassination and other things like that. And we love the figurative language. We love the words. And all those things is great. And you don't find that in such a condensed, concentrated form. You're not going to find that anywhere more than you find it in hip hop, hip hop specifically. And they use the vehicle of rap where you see it the most. So that part I love. I love that I can listen to it, whether it's a beat or no beat. I can listen to it when they battle rap. I love how the artsiness of it. I love the science of it. All of that stuff rolled into one. That's how important it is to me. Now, aside from that, when it comes to what you're rapping about, how you're influencing the culture, Black culture specifically. That part I'm not a fan of. And so that's the part where I go, we need to move beyond that part. I'm not thankful for that part. And because that makes up the majority of it, then I would have to go that I'm not for, I don't think we should be thankful for hip hop. I think it's worsened our ethnic image. You know, it's like we said, it's one of the biggest exports. Other countries have banned hip hop in a lot of places. It's underground in certain places because they ban it, because they don't want their people being influenced by it in the way that it's taken over our culture here in America. So even though it's the biggest export, if you're just looking at it as far as just money, then I get why you might say that. But as far as like look at ethics, morality, influence on the people that look like you, I think that it steers people in the wrong direction. I've had plenty of friends talk about how their exposure to hip hop caused them to go against the values that their parents gave them. You know, Biggie Smalls, what did he say? He got kicked out of his mother's house for the stuff that he was doing. Now, he wasn't doing that stuff because of hip hop. He was doing that stuff anyway. But guys who weren't in his situation, weren't even in his environment, were more influenced to go that direction because of the fact that they were able to export that particular subculture into other places where the environment wasn't prominent. And so it made a lot of us assimilate into a certain way we view women that's not biblical. It's not good for building communities and cultures. And so all of that right there, I would say, is against it. And then I would go into the more spiritual element of it, like KRS-One would say, talking about one of the elements of hip hop is knowledge of self. But when for their version of knowledge of self, it's more like self-worship. It's more of, you know, Allah. It's more of 5% doctrines and teachings, you know, what I would call paganism and heathenism. So I would say even in that element right there, I definitely wouldn't support it. So all those reasons why I would say that it's a net negative for all of us, even though we all can enjoy it and most of us are somewhat addicted to it. And that's just the reality of it. So that's what I would say as far as my why going into it. Now we're transitioning in. Enos, did you want to go ahead and give a why, or do you want to just catch the next one?
Yeah, I could give a why.
He didn't give his answer.
Whys. I could.
He didn't give did you get a yay or a nay?
Yeah, I say no. I'm gonna give 3 reasons why. Maybe I do 2. I'm gonna just whatever's on top of my head. All right. All of the negative stereotypes, all the negative ills that our culture deal with, hip hop put it on steroids. Now we got different genres within hip hop. Like you got the trap music, you got the b-boy music, you got different facets of the music. But a lot of times the most popular is the ones that put our ills on a big on a big screen. So it helps, you know, it's strong and it influences a lot of our youth in a lot of negative ways. So that's one reason why. And then we don't, as a community, most of us don't actually benefit financially from the culture. There's only a small group of people, a small percentage that actually get a lavish lifestyle for doing that, promoting this kind of music. So that's one. So we don't benefit financially, and the negative ills. That's just on top of my head right now. That's what I got right now.
So yeah, that's really good. So okay, so we have, if I'm correct, we have you're the one who's saying that it's not something to be thankful for all in all. Is that correct? Enos, you're saying that anybody else said that was the same situation for them as well? I think Derek may have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got 2, and then we got Freshly. You said that for you it was.
I said it's a net positive for me.
Net positive. Okay. So what about what Derek or Enos is saying? Do you agree or disagree with? If you can do that in like 30 seconds or less.
You talking about me?
Yeah. What did Derek and Enos say that you disagree with?
Well,
if you disagree with anything,
my earlier answer. Well, no. I mean, I prefaced my entire answer with the things I agree with Derek Bain on. So I'll go over it again. I agree
that you disagree with.
That I disagree with?
Yeah. Well, what about you?
I don't disagree with anything Eno said.
Okay. Well, what about you?
I think, yeah.
I mean, the fellas made some good points, but I mean, y'all know me, man. I sometimes miss how I guess hip hop gets more of a villainous type of role. You know, like we spoke on before. It is a tool that can be used and manipulated in many different ways. And
well, let me
I'm
ask this
one
more
who,
specifically, real quick, then, because
okay.
Eno brings up the point that when it comes to hip hop, most people don't financially benefit from it. And is that correct, Enos? You were saying that?
Yes. It's
You
a
think that
small,
would
a
you agree
small
among
group.
a small group that actually benefit? Would you say, Enos, that the other people are they're just neutral, or they tend to suffer because of it?
Tend to suffer.
So, Will, would you agree with that? That even though there's a small group of people that benefit from it, are there more people that you think that must suffer from it
Financially?
Yeah,
It's a Ponzi scheme.
I think that for the creators of the art, a lot of the money doesn't funnel back to where it maybe should. But I mean, from my understanding, a lot of families of these artists and label executives and producers, like they reap some of the rewards. I mean, some of these people help out. They have businesses outside of music where they can employ, family and friends and things like that. So to really put a number on how that trickles down to their community or to their circle of friends, it's kind of hard to do. But just from the people that I personally know that had a little foot in the game, the little bit of money they made, I mean, it went to, of course, some of their pockets, but they were trying to open businesses and buy trucks and get in the trucking game, and somebody might need a bill paid.
Real quickly, well, I want to go to Angel real quick. For you, you've heard Derek mention the spiritual element of it, and then also Enos mentioned, the people don't benefit from it. Most people don't benefit from financially, and they tend to more of a Ponzi scheme. People at the bottom tend to more suffer. And what I've heard about that before you answer is that, and I don't know if this is your point, but people that when it comes to subcultures, they'll say that people who try to dress like Lil Wayne, a lot of these rappers right here, they get the tattoos, they get the hair. The hair is a big deal. I just saw a stat that said that men who are well groomed have like a 60-70% more chance of having more social mobility financially. And so when people getting tattoos and doing more hip hoppy type garb, it can affect their ability to be assimilated into the dominant culture and be successful. I think that's part of what Enos's point is. So for Angel, what are your thoughts on that? And the spiritual that Derek brought up.
I do want to try summarize the part you said. Is it promotes the anti-establishment, the way we dress, the stuff that they promote. Actually, it's against. It's
assimilation.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Angel, how about for yourself? You got anything you want to say on that point?
Okay. So growing up in it, okay, I watched the Electric Playground come up. I watched the Funhouse in New York City come up. I watched how it brought all these hip hop artists, Lisa and Culture and Grandmaster Flash, Africana Bambaataa. If you tell me any rapper these days, I don't know who they are. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it. My wife don't listen to it. My son don't listen to it, and he in college.
So most of your thoughts on hip hop are going to be more nostalgic from.
I was saying earlier, hip hop has changed so much from what it was where I grew up in the New York, New Jersey area to what it is now.
Oh, you were right there close to the heart of it all.
I grew up in it. I broke dance. Now we got to remember, breakdancing came from Puerto Ricans. We started breakdancing in the boogie down.
Greek man, I'd agree with that one.
Bronx. Now the rapping and all that, that's the black culture. But the Puerto Ricans in the boogie down Bronx and graffiti, we started all that stuff in the boogie down Bronx. And again, I watched all these people come up, and it was a community. It was people helping other people get up. I've seen Madonna come to the Funhouse and help the community there when she was coming up. A lot of artists started from the Funhouse in the boogie down Bronx. A lot of artists, and it was a great thing back then. But today, man, that's garbage today. And the people that said no, I understand it, because you guys basing it on what we're hearing now. It's garbage.
All right, so stats for you. You've heard Derek's point, you've heard Enos's point, and everybody else's point. Like, anything about what they're saying that you have a point against, that you disagree with, that you'd like to shed more light on? You're on mute if you're talking.
So from my perspective, when you look at hip hop, and I think somebody said already, I think it was Vulcan who said it was a net positive. I don't remember if it was Vulcan or Freshly who said it was a net positive. I think it might have been Freshly, right? It was a net positive, right? Like everything has to go on the scale, right? Someone just said that it was like anti-establishment, right? But when you think about like every culture and every art style has had anti-establishmentarianism in it. I mean, if you think back to, you know, the Federalist Papers and John Adams and the Revolutionary time and all that. I mean, there's never been a time, and even, you know, even with the Egyptians and Moses. I mean, you know, we've always had that establishmentarianism in every culture in some sort of way. So to discount hip hop because of that, I think is unfair, right? When we talk about that only a small group financially benefits, I think that's unfair because I think hip hop, from the outside looking in, shows us what is possible. And I think art always does that, right? So even though you may not be economically benefiting from hip hop, you see the possibility to economically benefit from something that the majority of your society is not participating in, right? So it should spark that creativity. You know what I'm saying? So I think sir?
I said for sure.
And I think there are so many positives about hip hop that, you know, even when we put it on the scale against the negative parts of it, that it would absolutely outweigh it tremendously, right? Because there is no negative in hip hop that is not in common society without hip hop.
Got you.
That's what I'm gonna.
All right, so yeah, excellent point right there. So real quickly before we go to something else, let me go ahead and get these comments. Freshly, if you don't mind putting the comments up, I'll go ahead and read them. Anthony Blackshear says there was a world before hip hop. Question mark.
Yes, I made that statement. Yes, it was. I think we all should be able to agree with that.
Yeah, so I think we'd all agree with that right there. There was a world before that. Curtis Dilworth says, but at the same time, that's weak-minded. Music can't control what you do. And I'm sure most people will agree that music can't control what you do. I think the question is going to be, can music influence what you do? And has there been any studies to suggest that be the case?
Yep.
You know, I will say there was a study where there's a study that they did where they looked at the billboards over the last, 20, 30 years. I can't remember how long it was. And they categorized every single genre of music to see which one had the most negativity in it. And hip hop had more negativity than like all the other ones put together. And then when you look at a lot of the studies that talk about the negativity, it says that when young people hear negative messaging, hip hop or not, that part is not specific to hip hop. It does increase it makes them more desensitized to authority. It makes them more aggressive and things of that nature. There have been studies that say that it does have an influence on people, you know, as far as the studies go. So that's a good point. We got another comment, or that's the last one?
No, we only got one more.
Help the Bear says,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's referring to the comment you just made.
Okay, yeah. Help the Bear says some people wouldn't agree with you. It's always the case. Shout out to Help the Bear. All right, so what we're gonna do right now, this topic right here was meant to just be a conversation starter, something light, something most of us are thankful for, whether it's rap, whether it's hip hop. Now we're gonna get into more centrally themed conversations about Thanksgiving, and we all hear them every year, you know, on college campuses and on the political sphere and on the news. So we're gonna get into some things that are more specific to the Thanksgiving discussion we have every year. So everybody buckle up. It's gonna be a good ride right here. So let's get to the next question. So panelists, the question is going to be, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? And we're going to start with you, Will. Yes or no, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday?
I'm going to go yeah on that.
Okay. Mr. Angel, what you got? Yes or no?
Wow. That could go both ways. It really can.
If you get to lean, which one's you leaning more towards?
Ooh,
If there was a Tower of Pisa and it was in the middle and it's a little shaky.
If we're talking about the beginning, yes.
So your answer is going to be: is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? Your answer yes.
If we're talking about the beginning, yes.
So Angel's going to go with yes. Stat. What about yourself?
No.
Derek, what you got? Yes or no?
No.
Enos, what you got?
No.
Fresh.
Nope.
Okay, so we got some no's and we got some yeses. It's gonna be interesting right here. So it's Thanksgiving a racist holiday. So we're gonna first start it out with, in 30 seconds or less, Will, you give explanation for why your answer is. Say what your answer was again, and then explain why.
It said, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? And I probably would have to go with yeah, man. That's my answer on that. You know, and
why?
Yeah, the reason being, I guess, when you look at the name and what it became here in America, like there's been celebrations for being thankful for the crops and the harvest and things coming in like that. Like that predates, you know, the so-called actual beginning of Thanksgiving. You know, you celebrate the crops coming in and we thankful, or it's there's been like sacrifices around that time to the you know, to the gods and things like that. So I get that part of it. But if we're talking about Thanksgiving, which some people don't agree with the name, similar to Columbus Day, when you think about that particular holiday, the origin story of it, they say it was the was it? For lack of a better term, I'm gonna say pilgrims. You know, I can't think of the name of those.
I got you. Yeah, you in the ballpark there.
Yeah. They came in and the actual celebration for the first couple of days, they didn't even invite the Native Americans to the party to break bread with them. You know, they were thankful for being able to make it to somebody else's land who showed you how to till the soil, looked out for you and things like that. You already brought them disease. So you're thankful to come over there and make it from the hell that you escaped, you know what I'm saying, to come over here. And then now what? You don't want to break bread with them? You're going to celebrate without them?
Got you. Cool. So Angel, you got a minute too. Thanks for that, Will. You got a minute, Angel.
Okay, so first I want to bring up woke. Okay, let's think about woke for a second. And the second thing I want to think about is my friend down the street who is American Indian. He is Cherokee. And I remember 3 years ago when I met him, he was an old veteran just like I am. And I asked him, hey, man, we having Thanksgiving dinner. You know, you and your wife can come. And he like, no, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So I was shocked. I said, well, you Jehovah's Witness? And he says, no. And then he told me, you know, his story, American Indian, and showed me pictures of his tribe and all that stuff. And he said, basically, it's like a day of remembrance for their ancestors and how they were treated and their ancestors, because Indians passed stories down and down and down, and it, you know, eventually got to him. So he said, just like Will was talking about, you know, it was the first Thanksgiving was more like a setup, and it was just, you know, basically how somebody's trying to treat you good, and then they want to stab you in the back. Okay, so it's so much history that he spoke about that made it look really bad for them. You know, we as Americans, blacks, Hispanics, whites, we don't look at Thanksgiving that way because it didn't affect us.
For sure.
It didn't affect us. We don't have a first view from ancestors passed down to ancestors. Now we could talk about slavery that's been passed down.
I just want to make sure for you. So you're saying because of what your friend shared with you, that's why you view it as a racist holiday.
Right. And that's why I view it as racist. And you don't know until you know. Until you
don't know until you know. Shout out to you. And if you don't know, now you know. So only facts. You up, and then Enos, have you go next. Only facts.
So it is definitely not a racist holiday. It's a national tradition. it's national tradition, and for non-European people specifically, it should be a time of like gratitude and togetherness, taking the opportunity to think about the sentiment. And without disregarding the tradition, I mean, you can, acknowledge historical pain, but it is not a racist holiday. It's a celebration of faith, family, and so I'm just gonna leave it there.
Got you. Okay, about for yourself.
Yeah, I said no, and I disagree with Angel. I don't think it was rooted in racism. Like I know you said in the beginning it was, and now it's not. I think even in the beginning when Abraham Lincoln declared it as a holiday, it wasn't. When it was founded, it was based off of giving and positive. So I don't think it was racist when it's in its inception. It's not racist now. So I would disagree with Will and Angel on that.
Okay. Derek, how about for yourself?
Well, the interesting thing is we live in a world now where all you got to do is change the definition of what you think something is. And so, like we talked on one of your last shows with Halloween, should Christians partake in Halloween? And then when you broke it down as to, is me getting a costume demonic? Is that me not being a Christian? Is me going to a house and getting candy? Is that same process I would look at for Thanksgiving? It's what part of it is race, like race involved at all. For me, I would look at it simply as it's a holiday for families to get together to be thankful. And I'm saying this, even if I were Indian right now and it was my history, this day, I still wouldn't view it as a racist white man day they stole from us and did, but I still wouldn't do it because you can change the narrative on what that day is now. You can't stop his Genesis, but you can definitely change his Exodus. And so that would be my take on it.
All right, Mr. Fresh, what you got? And also, when you respond to anybody you want to cross-examine after you get done saying what you want to say, feel free to do it, or I'll go to somebody else to cross-examine somebody.
Checking in. Go ahead and start and say real quick that I don't think it's racist. It doesn't have roots in racism. Dinner, feasts, if you will, have been used across history, despite race, despite differences, to betray people. And that's if you subscribe to that particular way things went, that's fine. But I don't think it was rooted in racism, right? It's been used that way across cultures for different races, for same races. I imagine there's been betrayal at a feast set by, Chinese people for Chinese people, Europeans for Europeans. It's just a conquering culture. The person that wants to take the other culture out, utilizing a time stamped tradition to facilitate what they want to do. I don't think it's racist. Maybe crooked, right? We can go there. It might be wrong. It might be, villainous, but racist. I don't think it's based on racism, because Thanksgiving in its inception is just a feast that they put on to celebrate their first harvest. And, that's by definition. They invited the I don't know how to pronounce it, the Wampanoag or Wampog, Wampanoag people to celebrate with them. Tragic. I apologize for butchering that, but even if their initial intentions were nefarious, I don't believe they were nefarious based on racism.
Okay, so in light of that, is anybody you want to cross-examine, or I can go somebody else, see if somebody else wants to cross-examine somebody? You have Will and Angel who said it was racist. So we got Curtis Dilworth says right here, definitely not a racist holiday in my eyes. And then Curtis also said, if it's so racist, don't celebrate it then. Laughing emojis. Trey.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to cross-examine Derek or Angel or Will. Excuse me, Will and Angel. Will and Angel. Yeah. I just think that they are looking at it from a specific perspective, which is, a popular perspective But I think if you break it down and you get into the reason and logic of it all, that it's really hard. You have to kind of jump through some hoops to get it to mean that. I want to say it's Occam's razor that says the simplest answer is usually the answer. You got to do a lot of kind of tap dancing to, especially us not being there, right?
Okay,
to make
I get
it racist.
that's what you believe, but I don't know if Will and Angel would take that same approach to it. Will and Angel, any of y'all want to cross-examine anybody on the panel real quick, or or if you can even go to Freshly.
I mean, just the whole notion of it, potentially not being racist. I can't get with that. You know what I mean? I think that now I'm finna butcher the name. What you said, the Wampanoags, right? I believe that's the name.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah. And that's where the stories kind of differ. I heard they had to find out about the celebration on their own. They had to walk down there because, the Pilgrims was like busting their guns, for the celebration. So they're like, yo, is this wartime? So one of the chiefs went over there, brought a couple of his guys to see what was happening. And they was like, nah, we celebrating. They was like, oh, that's what's up, man. Well, we'll bring some food down here with y'all, and we'll break bread and celebrate, with y'all making it in the harvest and all that.
So the natives weren't invited.
Real quick, Will, let me ask this
Yeah, they
question.
wasn't invited at first, which is crazy. That's like coming to somebody's house and whipping up food. Like, nah, man, this for me. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question real quick. Let me present something to you real quick. So if the holiday is racist, how is it racist if they weren't even invited?
That's what I'm saying. The caucasity.
No, but you said the holiday itself is
the caucasity of it all.
Yeah, like you didn't come to my land with seeds I gave you to grow and showed you how to do it, and y'all celebrating learning how to farm over here that I showed you, and we can't get down at the party with you. That's
so you go to your neighbor's house and borrow some sugar for a cake you baking
at my house,
or some sugar to put in your grits.
And no Pilgrims got a lot of sugar.
You
Quaker oats, man. Them Quaker oats.
You got to invite your neighbor over for grits or cake. You borrow some eggs, they got to come over for breakfast.
I think if I'm doing it at their house, like that's like staying in somebody's crib and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna cook their food. I'm gonna put my feet on the couch, and eventually I'm gonna kick them out. That's what's going on. So when I cook this food, he can't eat it, even though he letting me live here. And helping me out, I'm gonna cook this food, and he just got to smell it and feel a way about it. Like, who does that?
Real quick, Will, just so the audience everybody can follow.
Or because
Will's point is the reason why it's racist is because of the fact that the natives were not invited. Does anybody second that motion? Angel, do you feel the same way about that? Do you think that because you think they weren't invited, one, and then number two, if they weren't invited, that's racist?
Do you even think they used the word racist back then?
Good question. Got Coach Andre on the scene. Hold up, baby.
What up? I just finished a coaching session, man. What's going on, fellas?
Sir. All right, so Will is saying that it was racist because the Native Americans weren't invited to the Thanksgiving initially.
That's the tip of the iceberg right there. That's the tip.
Yeah, and so do we know for a fact that they weren't invited? Is anybody on the panel? Is it for sure? Do y'all all agree that they weren't invited? Stats, I see you shaking your head.
From everything I know, it's just the opposite. That they have been invited to celebrate together and have harvest feasts.
And if they weren't invited, would you consider that an act of racism?
If they were not invited specifically because of their race, yes. But I don't. From everything I know, the Pilgrims were more focused on religion than race, because they were from mixed countries. All of them were from mixed countries, So they was all from different places. So they were focused on religion more than race.
Okay. So we got Will saying that's a reason. And Angel, you mentioned the historical context, specifically with your friend and how they view it. Is there anybody on here that you want to cross-examine? And real quickly, before you answer that, just so everybody understands, it says that the man who presents his case first seems right until another comes and cross-examine. So I want to give people opportunity to cross-examine something they might hear. So don't be bashful, y'all. Don't be shy. This is what it's all about, because this is how iron sharpens iron, and we get to a better place. When you see here's something you disagree with, if you want to, go to somebody and express your disagreement and cross-examine them, feel free to do so. If not, I'll keep moving it around. But don't be shy for my sake. I'll be fine. Go ahead, Derek.
Don't be scared.
I got a question for Will. Will, do you eat chitlins?
Oh man, I used to, man. Hey, me, my brother, and my pop, we would put down like 40 pounds just between the three of us. But I ain't ate pork in like 20 years, man. 25 years, 22 years, something like that.
So
but I used to, though. Yeah.
So now watch this. Somebody could say that you're promoting the negative aspects of what the slave masters did to us, or to the slaves at the time, because that's all we could eat. They gave us, they gave them the scraps, and then we did it. So here we are in 2025, people eating chitlins. It's like you see how we're viewing Thanksgiving. Someone could make an argument the same thing with the foods we eat from the situation we were in. It's like, are we promoting and glorifying how we were in slavery, because now the foods that they made us eat, because we couldn't do anything else, now we're eating them on our own.
Well,
I'm just throwing something out there, like that's how easy it is to get somebody to, they can come up with their own opinion about what something is. And that to me was an example of, well, we're eating stuff that if we had money back then from the jump, we would have never eaten the parts of the pig that we ate. We wouldn't even.
Let me say one thing real quick. We are all basing this on historical knowledge that has been promoted through books that we read. How in the world do we know that those pilgrims understood the language that these Indians were talking about back then? We don't know that, but if we read these history books, they will make us think that, oh yeah, they just got along very well. They spoke to each other. Really? That's all.
That's a good point.
But Angela, I would say that without better information, how can we refute the information that we have on hand?
We can't. We got to, just like one day we'll be woke on that too. One day.
Yeah. Even if they were excluded,
for the gaps,
we would have to prove that they were excluded because of their race to make it racist.
And I base what I just said on speaking to my friend and hearing ancestors to ancestors to ancestors to ancestors and bringing it down to him. And he just filled me up with so much stuff. I remember when I was in a Catholic school in Trenton, New Jersey, why the Puerto Ricans had to dress up like the Indians and the white was of the Pilgrims?
Because they brown.
Right.
Closest thing we got.
Exactly.
They don't know the difference.
All dressed up like the Indians. I was told, I want to wear that nice black cap and have the gun. Well, I got to have a little feather in my head and a little tomahawk in my hand.
The thing with oral tradition, I'm not saying that's not a good source, and we learn a lot from oral tradition, but the difference between I'm gonna say this, why I'm leaning more towards the historical accounts, people writing about it, because it could be tested by multiple sources. You can't always do that with oral tradition. Oral traditions. So even with your friend, we don't know what Native American, you might know that, but it's multiple tribes that have multiple stories and different stories and encounters they have with the so-called pilgrims.
And there are Native Americans who do celebrate Thanksgiving. I've seen that, as well. So you got some on both sides there. So real quickly, does anybody else have anybody to cross-examine before we go to the next topic?
I just want to add on for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, from what I'm looking at, I just, typed it in. From the articles and from, I guess, the people they interviewed who are from the tribe and, got their own understanding, they saying they weren't invited. They heard the gunfire and had to go down there. But, these are people who had a certain understanding, I guess, with these incoming settlers already. They had peace treaties in line. So I think the answer sometimes doesn't come out immediately, you know, I think over time we can look back and say, okay, when you look at when Lincoln put it into place, maybe knowing what he know or didn't know, is this representative of that particular holiday? Like, even just the name itself, you know, why couldn't it just be called Family Day? Or why all the, like my man said, the symbolism that comes along with it?
We gotta observe all the kings.
Yeah, like the symbolism.
Real quickly, Will.
Just says Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But real quickly, so
Thanks for giving us your land, right? Is that what it is?
I don't think anybody had any more cross examinations they want to do. So
I have one.
You had one? Go ahead and cook.
Yeah. So Angel, based on your latter answers, if you were to pull out and be objective about it, right? So your initial answer was based almost solely on what your Native American friend told you.
Mm-hmm.
With that information plus all the other information, do you still believe it's a racist holiday?
Today, to me, no, not to me. Not to me it is. Yeah, not to me it isn't.
And that's kind of what I
not to me.
Answers
you know, time has passed and evolved. I think Thanksgiving has evolved into something that what it is today.
Okay. So real quickly, then,
what it was back then. I want to give Coach
Dre a chance to just say that the question was, is Thanksgiving racist, and then why? So if you can just do it like, you know, a minute and a half or less, just kind of explain, then we'll go into comments and then the next topic.
I personally don't think that it's racist because Thanksgiving. Well, let me ask this question. Does anybody know, do they celebrate Thanksgiving in other countries?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah, from my understanding, yeah.
No, it's an American holiday.
No,
I don't know. I'm asking because I don't even know. I think it's an American thing, but I don't know.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I believe it's celebrated in other countries. Let me check it out.
Let's say it's primarily an American holiday, right? So, in my personal opinion, and based on what I read and study, America is not a country. America is a business. What makes it different, being a business, is that everything here is based on being for profit. That's it. So they've taken everything that was bad or negative or good, and they've tainted and changed it in such a way where they can make a capital gain from it. So look at Christmas, look at Thanksgiving, look at Easter. Every month there's some holiday to where you're expected to go out and spend money on something for someone or for yourself. Thanksgiving is no different. In terms of the historical context about the pilgrims, I personally don't know enough about that to speak eloquently on that. But the fact remains the same, just like any other holiday in America, it's all made for monetary gain.
Got you. Excellent.
Hey, Vulcan, if I can have a moment, though. Vulcan.
Go ahead.
So I know that the sentiments of the Pilgrims and the Indians is really entrenched in our thoughts when we think about Thanksgiving. But if we think about when it was made a holiday, right? We were in the middle of the Civil War, right? And Lincoln said he did it more so to give a sense of national unity, because if you remember, Lincoln throughout was trying to bring it all together. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to create a sense of national unity through Thanksgiving more than anything. It never existed prior to that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as a national holiday, it didn't.
Right, as a national holiday, it didn't even exist. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's kind of remember that too when we think about.
We gotta remember the Civil War is right back.
You know.
Yeah, good, excellent point on the facts. We got to remember the Civil War is right on that point. Freshly, do we have any comments? Yeah. So, Help the Bear says, "Here we go with woke-ish. Define country, brother." So I think that was to Dre. We got another comment. Help the Bear says, "Eating 40 pounds of boo-boo was insane, bro."
Hey, we used to go in, man. We used to go in.
What the chitlins earlier, brother. All right, what else we got? That's it. Okay, so let's go and get into the next question, fellas. We covered that pretty well. So why do Black folks criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives? And I would, say it's even outside of Black people, you see people doing that. A lot of white liberals and progressives, especially on the university campus. I've seen people go to university campus and they have conversations, and there's a very similar shared sentiment about this historical situation. So we'll say Black folks here, but you can even, take it out to the broader community as well. If you just go to any college campus, you're going to hear the same thing as you might hear a Black person echo about this. So, but why do Black folks criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than they do the Native Americans? And we'll start off with Coach Dre on this. If you could just do that in a minute or less, why you say so?
Say that. Why do I say it one more time?
Why do we criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives, the Native Americans that were there? When you're on college campus, when you watch online, when you hear people talking about, whether Thanksgiving is racist or the atrocities that have taken place in the past, when they speak about the different cultures, why is the emphasis typically on what the Pilgrims were doing?
Versus where should it be? What's the alternative?
The classic question with a question.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what you got. You got anything else?
Nah, that's it. Because I don't understand where else can it go?
All right, Derek, go about for yourself.
That's all I got, bro.
Derek, can you hear me?
Oh, I didn't know you. I didn't hear. No. I think one of the ways the reason we do that is it could be generational trauma. It could be the historical memory, anger. It could be all these things injustice. It could be the things that reminds us of things of the past. So that might be why they focus on that than something else.
Okay. Enos, what about for yourself?
I'm gonna go with the teachers, more the Black activists, the Black existentialism in our community. That's what they teach. So a lot of us, we work at everyday jobs, 9 to 5. We're not doing a lot of research, looking at what was really going on back in those days. We tend to listen to people that actually do those research, and I think that's why we give them more of a hard time than the question. Yeah, but I think that's why we put more emphasis on the colonizers.
Yeah, so just to help everybody kind of frame the question for the audience and everybody out there, excellent point, Derek and Coach. So if you just think about when we criticize the colonization of America, especially leading from Plymouth Rock all the way down the line to the Civil War and stuff like that, when you think of all the criticism that takes place, what percentage goes to Native Americans? What percentage goes to the colonizers? I think most of us would say overwhelmingly it's the colonizers that get criticized. So the question is,
I see what you're saying. I get it now.
Yeah, the question is why. And so, Will, you go ahead and go.
My bad. What was the question, brother?
Okay, we'll go to Angel real quick. Go ahead, Angel. I'll get back to you, Will, on that.
In the words of a great man that told Spider-Man, good old Uncle Ben, he said,
with great power
comes great responsibility. Okay. And later that in our world, Winston Churchill said something to the effect of, where there is great power, there is great responsibility. So back in those days, who had the power? The power came from the Pilgrims. Just like a child might be acting up, and that child is so bad, and the mama's just as worse, or the dad is just as worse. That's the power. That's the source. Okay. So what I say that to say that the colonizers had all the power. With that power, they imposed control. They took land by force, and unjust means they just, what's the word I'm saying? They just imposed their will on the Native Americans.
Will, what you was doing to them over there?
What you mean? What happened?
And they was imposing their will. So Will, for yourself, why do you believe that the colonizers receive a lot more criticism than the natives?
I'll go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I like to answer. I had an answer before. I didn't understand the question. I understand it now. My answer is because it wasn't just done to them. It was a constant progression of things they were doing in other areas and other countries and all over. So we're speaking on not just what was done there, but a continuation of what has kept being done. That's why.
Got you. Okay. Will, what about for yourself?
Yeah, I think he summed it up pretty well, man. I guess the natives are more so looked at as being open to foreigners and visitors and, you know, immigrants or whatever coming to the land that they've been on for who knows how long. So being open to invite somebody into your home, and this is how they repay you, so to speak. Like what is that they say is diabolical, man? Is diabolical. You know, that
Taken
was
advantage of.
yeah, it's taken advantage of, and that's why I think you see the holiday take on a tone or a sentiment of racism, in my opinion, because it was being done by people who not only was doing similar things in other areas, but to keep perpetuating the imagery to this day. You know, you check, like I said, the Macy's Day Parade in 2 days, you're gonna see pilgrims, you're gonna see these things that give you this mindset, and it almost seems like arrogance to a degree when it comes to certain, you know, people who were here. It's like, yo, we know we owed the freedmen some money. Think we ever gonna give you that? Nah, bro.
We gotta go to something else right now. I appreciate you, Will.
Yeah.
I know you can't let one cook too much, man. Okay, so only facts and facts.
Right.
It's on you, my guy.
All right, I'm gonna take my whole 60 seconds. Listen, I'm a couple inches over 6 feet. I'm a few pounds over 300. Right? If you walked up on me beating up Vern Troyer, the guy that played Mini Me, right? If you walked up on me beating him up, you would criticize me. No matter how many times Vern Troyer got up on a stool and hit me in my face and I told him going on, no matter how many times he picked up a stick and hit me in my leg, no matter how many times he talked about my mama, when you walked up and saw me beating him up, you would criticize me. It was only because they were more powerful. But I would say, in defense, that I believe the so-called Native Americans, because I don't believe they're Native Americans, but the so-called Native Americans did the absolute most they could against the Pilgrims, just like the Pilgrims did the most they could against the Native Americans. They were at war sometimes. And I mean, ain't no such thing as a fair fight. If I'm stronger than you, I'm going to win. If I'm not stronger than you, I'm going to lose. I'm going to land right there.
Bars, mic drop. Everybody, let's have a moment of silence real quick. No, sorry, Derek, I know you want to go, but we got to get Fresh in real quick.
No, I was doing the mic drop.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Fresh, what you got? Why do we criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Here in America, and I think most places don't blame the victim for being a victim.
Not the Fresh I know.
No, you don't know Fresh. You know CJ. All right, that's a different person.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right.
Percy Snipes is a man of the people.
Yeah. You guys have anything else, or that's what you got for that?
No, man. Who blames the victim?
Okay, cool. So does anybody want to cross-examine somebody? Because if not, then I'm gonna cross-examine y'all. So So I'm gonna start off by giving my point on this, because I think a lot of people echoed very similar points. So for me, the reason why I think that the colonizers getting all the blame and not the Native Americans is, one, I think we have a misunderstanding about the history of it. Number two, and that goes to what Enos's point was as far as how we're being taught about Thanksgiving, and also the historicity of the Pilgrims, Native Americans, and the forming of the nation and who got displaced and the things of that nature.
I want to interject if you don't mind. I did say Black teachers in our community, but I think historians all together in our history books, you've seen what they were saying with John, the fifth president Jackson, when he moved all the Native Americans to Oklahoma. So historians in general put more negative connotation on the colonizers and lumped everybody together. Pilgrims, colonizers, all one big person. Is actually a more it's deeper than that. It's more complicated than that.
Deeper than rap. So
All right, go
yeah,
ahead.
so for me, I think that part of the issue is this. Like I said, we're being taught it. I think a little bit skewed, and then also a part of it is this right here. The Native Americans don't have a major impact on our daily lives. Their culture is not mass produced and disseminated and is not a big export. So we don't know that much about who they used to be, how they used to be, to even have a real criticism of them. Now, that stuff is available to us, but most of us aren't going to do the research. But I do think it kind of goes to only facts and stats point that he brought up about both groups were doing what they could. So part of the reason historically that even the people that the Thanksgiving they had with those people, they was even able to do that is because they had tribes they're warring with at the time. So a lot of times there was only like 500 people that came to be able to start these different colonies and stuff like that at different points in time. You know, well, that's some of the conquistadors and stuff like that. But so how could those people right there dominate the land to where we have it the way it is today? They were striking deals, just like in the transatlantic slave, they struck deals with the African kings over there. They struck deals with tribes who needed allies to fight against rivaling tribes. You had tribes that were very, violent, tribes that had more power, more population. They were more aggressive people, and they were going against tribes who were less aggressive and needed more help. And so these tribes were allying themselves with the colonizers in order to be able to accomplish their goals. Now, did that overall lead to their displacement in the end? In a lot of ways, it definitely did. But when they first came over here as the Pilgrims, their goal, they were fleeing religious persecution. They wanted to get their own, they wanted to get their own place. And when they came over here, it wasn't like they weren't allowed to be here. I think at the time of the Thanksgiving dinner, as a matter of fact, I think 50% of them had passed away from like famine or something like that. And there was actually more Native Americans at the Thanksgiving than there were even Pilgrims. And so going from that place to where we are now, I think if we look at not just there's Native Americans and then there's colonizers, there's a bunch of different tribes. And then a new tribe comes in called Pilgrims. And now they're all doing what all of them are doing. And to stats and facts point, one of them has the gun and other ones don't. They didn't have the numbers, so they didn't have power in that sense. Maybe they had superior strategy and they had the gun. So anybody disagree with that?
What do you mean, maybe? They definitely had those things.
Oh, maybe on as far as the guns part of the population. I don't think they had the population, but I do think that they had they definitely had the guns. And part of the reason why these Native American tribes, they would align themselves with the colonizers because they wanted access to guns and they learned how to deal with the horses because they didn't have horses at that time. Those are exported over here. And so what happens is, so they can fight against their own enemies, they align themselves with the colonizers. So I think that if we look at it as just a colonizer, just another tribe, just like the other tribes that are out there, North America was populated with tribes, millions and millions of people. And so I think if you look at it just different tribes, a lot of the negative connotations and the negative press that the colonizers get, I think a lot of that withers away. Anybody have a point about that? Or
I mean, why is it wherever you go though on the planet, the natives or the aboriginals got to be, overthrown or overtaken or subjugated to what, a lot of people seems to be people that look very similar to one another or have connections to one another over time. Why is that, what we see playing out so often, and either taking land by force or making deals only to break them later on?
I'll say this. I'm not saying there was no deals that were broken, but a lot of it was mind you, there's language barriers going on with this. There's no internet. I mean, I know y'all know that, but I'm just painting this picture for the audience. There's no internet. You literally come to a foreign land, you hit a winter, a lot of your population is decimated by natural causes. And then they don't understand germs yet as well. So you got to understand what happens is they're going over there, and as they interact with native populations, a lot of the native populations are decimated primarily by the fact that they don't have immune tolerance to some of the things that the guns and diseases by help the bear. Thanks. They don't have a tolerance to a lot of the diseases they have, so that hurt that population right there. So I would say part of the reason why they go placing population start to decrease is partly because both groups want fight for resources, just like the Native Americans were already doing before the colonizers showed up. They were fighting. They had slavery. They had all kinds of different stuff going on there. And so they were, and nothing that the colonizers did was that distinct from what was already happening there. That's why I say if you look at it more as there's all these different tribes, and then a new tribe shows up. They didn't even land where they were trying to go. You know what I'm saying? And they showed up right in the winters upon them. And it was tough, struggling for resources in a new place, and there's a language barrier. So, Will, what do you have to say about that? Or if anybody wants to address that point?
I mean, I look at it similar as I guess somebody coming new to a family or coming to a block. You know, we've been growing up doing this right here with these particular people. If I got a problem with dude, you know, that's our hood politics. You coming in inviting a whole new dynamic.
It's not the same hood though. See, I get if the colonizers showed up and everybody was living in harmony and they started some trouble. No, they was already wars, beefing, all kind of pillaging, all kind of stuff was already going on in these places. Again, slavery, you know, you got to think raids, you know, taking each other's women, all that kind of stuff was already taking place. So they show up and they just join the party.
So you saying if you move a family into your crib and they staying with you and you have an argument with your spouse, you saying that Billy from the other family, from the visiting family, can comment on your argument?
Well,
or jump on my wife's side.
In your fight?
Yeah, I wouldn't liken the continent to a house. So that would be, I guess, part for me where the analogy would partly break down. And then also, I was going to make this point. Thanks for bringing it up. They had different understandings of what land ownership was. So a lot of the times when they talk about cities being broken and stuff like that, some of that was they had different, because again, these people lived in way different parts of the world. And again, there's no Google. They're meeting fresh. Not the fresh we have on the show, but they're meeting fresh. So what happens is when they're doing that, they don't know, you know, all the different ins and outs of their philosophical beliefs on ownership of property and stuff like that. They're still, you know, they were still debating socialism and all kind of different forms of government, even in their own land that they were in, figuring out how that stuff works, monarchies and stuff like that. They don't have the knowledge that we have today. So my point is saying, I think, and if y'all agree or disagree, if y'all don't disagree, we can move on to the next topic. But for me, I just want to make it clear that how I'm looking at it is right here. The part of the reason why that we don't criticize the Native Americans as much as we colonizers is because we don't know that much about the Native Americans. We don't care to know. People are able to corral, and I've seen studies that show that people are able to corral and have friendships that last for long periods of time off of hating a shared enemy. So we can all learn in school that the Pilgrims are bad and the Native Americans were good, or at least they were the victims, and the colonizers, they told the story, and we still see them, the people that look like them today. We just go, that's the bad guys. We don't need to know anything else. But I think that when in so doing, we do a disservice to our children and those around us, because sometimes I think it makes it look worse than what it really was. And in so doing, we don't appreciate what we really have. We don't have the thankfulness that we should have during this season for all that went into us being able to be here right now in the most prosperous country in the nation. We saw most prosperous country in the world. Anybody want to cross-examine that?
I want to ask Will a question if don't nobody want to cross-examine you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Will.
What's up?
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to respond based on what I believe you were saying, but were you saying that colonizers in different parts of the world all look the same, meaning they were all like mostly Europeans and stuff like that? Is that basically what I was hearing you say?
To a degree, it's kind of what I'm saying. Like wherever you go, almost globally. Well, yeah, we'll say globally. Yeah. A lot of the natives to that land or the aboriginals to that land have either been, you know, invaded, overthrown, colonized by somebody who don't look like the people of that land initially. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, it's a topic we spoke on before, but it's a real thing when you look at colorism and supremacy when it comes to the hues and the colors of individuals. Of course, you're gonna have those complicit with it. you know, that might look exactly like me or you. But historically, globally, worldwide, you can sit down and really point that out to your kids and be like, yo, look what was done over here. Look what was done in Australia. Yo, look what they did in Japan. Yo, look what's going on in the DR. Look what's going on in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? The darker skin is always subjugated, man, to you know, trying to be the lesser class, and that's globally. So
shout out to Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, that's really not true, because you got to think about Hannibal, right? You think about Hannibal looked like us, right? Hannibal is the reason that Italians and the Europeans in that region have African descent. I mean, have African
Sicilia,
have African DNA in their have African in their DNA, right? When you think about the movie The 300, you know, Xerxes was a real guy. You know what I'm talking about? And he was all his people was all in Europe. You know what I'm saying? When you think about Genghis Khan, when you think about why these so-called Native Americans are here, is because they crossed the Bering Straits. You know what I'm saying? To colonize, right? And they crossed that land bridge from Russia through what we now call Alaska, and went south to colonize, right? So colonization is a human endeavor, not a European endeavor, bro.
Were they coming to colonize, or were they coming to seek out other lands? Were they spreading out? Which one was it?
They didn't know if anybody was here or not.
The only factual, your sound is out.
But when they,
my favorite colonizer.
My sound is off?
Yeah, your sound is static. It's a lot of static.
Yeah, it's a lot of static on your end, only facts. My fault. I meant to tell you.
Oh, I might be too close to the mic. Is that better?
So,
or is it pretty much the same?
That's better.
Ooh, say something.
Is that better?
Well,
I was too close to the mic. Was that better?
It's still a little light, but it's not. It's consistent. I think that moving back did help a little bit, but at the end, I still hear a little bit of static.
Okay,
real quickly, so we I think we covered that topic pretty well. If nobody has anything else, we'll go ahead and go to the next topic. Fresh.
Yeah, I did want to say, well, to answer your question, yeah, it's historically been documented that Africans from the continent did go different places to take over. One of the examples, not just only Hannibal, but the Moors. The Moors took over Europe, and they did it through violence a lot of the times.
And the audience out there, I know black people ain't gonna be able to have a conversation about colonized without bringing up Africa, so we got to ring a bell for that. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, but you also got to consider that
all this.
Our plight was worse.
All this colonization by all these darker skinned people, and then you go to the places where they allegedly had the power at. Who's in power? And who's being treated like, I know Italians. I was just talking to a girl over in.
Hold on, Will.
She ain't from.
Real quick. I know you brought up some really good points, but we got more to get into. So let's go and get this comments. Help the bear. I was just about to say that, Vulcan. Native Americans didn't believe you could own land.
That's facts. So, so when the colonizers came over there and said, they're like, hey, this land is not ours. This is this is God's land. The white man was all right. Let's sign this right here, there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. We talked to guys. Say look.
Yeah. So, got any more comments?
Nah, just this one.
Help the Bear says we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Straight up.
And that's why the narrative.
I also want to point one more thing out. You also got to consider how many people that look like them talking about white that Europe conquered. They conquered more of Europe and Asia than they did of Africa. When you talking about where, just talking about Roman conquerors. They conquered, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Greece, Albania, Bosnia, Central Europe, Belgium. Like those are all white people for the most part, right? Romania, Ukraine. Those make up much more of the Roman Empire when they were conquering. I'm just specifically talking about the Roman Empire. We're not even talking about any of the other massive empires that have happened over history. The vast majority of Roman Empire was made up of parts of Europe and Asia. Yes, they also got Africa, but it's making it seem like they targeted people of color when really they was getting
They
everybody.
took what they
You
wanted.
got land, we looking
Yeah,
for land.
yeah.
If you got it, we need that.
Yeah.
It's not
You got land over
a
there. Be
colorism
ashamed
thing.
if somebody
It's an
discovered
expansion
it.
thing. Yeah,
All right, so
I'm
yeah.
trying to give what I got that I think is the best to everybody that's out there, whether they want it or not. We just have a very biased, like kind of just focus, kind of like blinders on each side to the people that look like us, which is common, but it's not intellectually accurate or honest when you consider all of the facts.
Got you, Fresh. And I know Will has a response already, but let's go and get to the next
You
question.
know it.
You're gonna have plenty of time, Will. We got you. All right, so the next question: which would you prefer to live in today? Pilgrim or Native American culture? If you had to pick one, you're gonna live like this. You and your family are gonna live like this. How you gonna live? Like the Pilgrims lived, like the Native Americans live. Let's go and start with Will. Which one you choosing? Pilgrims or Native Americans?
Oh, wait. I would probably have to be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more versed in the culture of each one, how they did things, you know. But
if you had to go off the top of your head,
I mean, I would probably have to go Native American, man. I guess.
Yeah,
Probably have to go Native American with it.
All right, Enos, what about you?
Pilgrims.
Okay, Angel.
Pilgrims.
Derek.
Pilgrims.
Dre.
I don't have enough knowledge to say, man. I don't know.
Which one you leaning more towards? I don't think anybody knows, but if you had to guess, if you just had to pick one, what would you say?
Native American.
All right, we get yes, sir. But a feather in his cap. All right, so Freshly, what you got?
The Pilgrim.
All right, only facts and stats. I don't know if you got the chance to hear the question.
Yeah, man. Pilgrims, man. Pilgrims.
Okay, so we got 2 Native Americans and 1 Pilgrim. Let's go ahead and get into Will first. Why you say Native Americans in 30 seconds or less?
I mean, I guess sitting around with your people, your constituents, passing the peace pipe. That don't sound like a bad time. It sounds like some brothers getting together, trying to philosophize about some peace, man. They're trying to, figure things out. But also, from what I understand, it seemed like they were respectful to, I guess, whatever they killed. It wasn't a wasteful type of society. If an animal,
right?
Yeah, if an animal or, they took something from the land, they'll try to replace it and things like that. So I kind of agree with that. We're trying to not be destructive and leave it a little better than you found it if you can, and just, conserve a little bit, I guess. And some people would argue that, I don't know how true it is, but the whole global warming thing and the way we abuse certain minerals and elements.
You dropped enough nuggets for us for the early part of it. Appreciate that. Coach, did you want to give a why, or was for you it was like a toss up?
Random select, fam.
Yeah. Okay, so Angel, you said the Pilgrims, right?
Yes.
Why would you choose the Pilgrims over the Native Americans?
So when Jesus spread the gospel to the disciples went out and they spread the gospel. Gospel started over there. And I think the main thing I say because of the Pilgrim was because historically they prioritized the religious devotion. They already had the religious devotion and they brought the religious devotion to the new lands that they went to. So I would say the Pilgrims based on the religious devotion.
Got you. Okay. Only facts. Why'd you say Pilgrims?
Yeah, I'm similar, because my life is about morality. My morality is based on monotheism, and the Pilgrims came from a monotheistic religious perspective.
Okay, Freshly, how about yourself?
I like a lot of the modern things that we have. Okay, TV, running water. Okay, motor vehicles. All right,
them TPs go
There's
hard.
A lot of stuff, huh?
Them TPs go hard.
Central heating and air conditioning. I need that. Okay.
You remember Dave Chappelle said he was hanging out with the Native Americans? He was like, man, it was cool, man. They gave him my own teepee. It was kind of messed up because they all had houses. All right, so go over yourself.
Yeah, I agree with Angel and Only Facts. Even Fresh, the modern times, the religion, devotion, and the Pilgrims is more diverse. The Western civilization on record has been the culture and the people that was able to advance civilization more than any other culture, historically speaking. So that's why I chose the Pilgrims.
Got you. Okay, and then Derek.
Technologically advanced. That's
what you got, Derek.
Same reason as Enos. I mean, Pilgrims had a structured civilization. They had a written legal system. There's, it had sort of a established governmental models, and so it was just a little more structured. Plus, I ain't keen into wearing makeup and feathers. So,
all right, Fresh, you got comments?
It's war paint, man. It's war paint.
Yeah. We got Carmel Candy says, hi, everyone.
What's up?
Soapbox, welcome. Lavelle J. Ellis says, shout out to Kurt holding it down. Sorry I'm late. Now, Kurt was one of the people that was commenting earlier.
And then Help the Bears.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he answers the question.
Oh, yeah. Help the Bears is Native Americans before the Pilgrims came. So, yeah. Okay, so any more comments? Well, I do want to let y'all know, Lavelle, man, he's doing big things. Thanks for Vulcan Soapbox. He's got his own podcast. He's got a few different channels that he does, and it's from sports to commentary on popular podcasts, and he's big time. He's rubbing elbows with the big dogs out there. So all the support that he gets, man, hopefully some of that finds its way over here. He says, "What up, Will?
Shout out
What's happening, brother?
Yeah. We started hooping together back in the day.
I'm inspired by Lavelle, man. Shout out to you. I've been following you, man. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir. Lavelle, we call him mid-range, man. That midi was something to be played with.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Will was a bucket.
So, Val, nice for real.
Yeah. So going back to the next. So I think we have anything more on this one right here, or okay.
I want to add one thing. I don't know the next topic, but
can you put the question back up again, Fresh. Go ahead, Will.
I was finna say it kind of sounds like a little like what Earl Musk was saying a couple days ago or last month. Remember, I guess the dude was interviewing him about that whites will become the minority in America, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's a bad thing. Do y'all want to go back to the jungle?" Things like that. Like, why do we attribute technology or technological advancements, or we seem as though we wouldn't make it to where we made it at now without the white man, even though a lot of his knowledge, ingenuity, and even flat out inventions was taken from, some of these Native American peoples. I think we look at Native Americans as just the Indians alone, but I mean, a lot of them look just like us as well. It was brothers who was also Native Americans. I don't think when you look at the Americas in totality and everything that we've found here as far as artifacts, I don't think it was just all teepees everywhere, man. At that time, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a couple of more other structures that they had put together, man.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand. I think that's a good point you bring up, Will. The Pilgrims primarily, as Stats said, they came over here for religious reasons. These weren't warriors that came over here. These are people who were fleeing, who went to the Dutch first, and their kids were starting to speak Dutch, and they were like, "We want our own place to go to," and they came over here, and they ended up landing like 200 miles away from where they were trying to get to.
Them dudes was called conquistadors. Stop that.
You got the different iterations. You got the Columbus. You have different iterations of it, but it's a really good point. And so the thing about it is, we see what civilization has come from with the foundation they had from the Magna Carta all the way to the Constitution we have, and the lineage and the line that goes from one to the other. And we got to understand that the way a lot of these native places people were, and I attribute a lot of the success Pilgrims had was due to their Christianity. Where Christianity flourished You saw liberty go up, literacy rates go up. You saw science start to develop. That was part. You saw they had something what's called, and didn't exist necessarily at this time, but the Pilgrims were known for their strong work ethic, and that was coming from their views coming from the Bible. And so they're not that far removed from Martin Luther, So they're within like 200 years, I believe, of what happened with Martin Luther. These, so these guys are coming right into the Protestant Reformation and deal with Roman Catholicism and stuff like that. So these people were really big on their religious convictions, as somebody mentioned earlier, and that's what they wanted to do, and they were just doing their best. Now there are some crazy things that go along with that. If anybody's read the book Scarlet Letter, you see that sometimes they can overdo some things, but it was a very harsh place. Like I said, 50% of them passed away, by the time of the Thanksgiving meal that they had, just from how harsh it was to live over there. And if it wasn't for the Native Americans, they wouldn't have survived. So I want to say that most of us are saying that we would rather live like the Pilgrims. So that's why I go back to the other question we had before of if we would prefer the Pilgrims' way of life and what it led to, why is it we critique them so much more than the culture that most people would say was inferior to live in based off what we're saying here today? That was my question before. And so this to me is just kind of reconciling the two together from y'all's personal preference here. So we can go to the next question.
That's still a very, the means justify the ends type of perspective, though. Like, yeah, it was kind of wild, but I kind of benefited from it on the back end. So I guess it was cool. I don't think that's
I think the question was the one before we're talking about was just why is all the criticism on the colonizer, not on the Native American? And so we all agreed that that's what we hear most of criticism. But then when we asked everybody on the panel, they say, if I had to pick the two, I would have lived like a pilgrim. So it's like it's almost like
you want to live like the winner. That doesn't mean the way they won was end up.
If Elon Musk and a bum get into a fight and Elon Musk doesn't make it out that fight, I still have to live like Elon Musk.
Hey, listen, not if Elon Musk lost his company.
Yeah. So
like they say, I guess scripturally. Like I don't know if it's in the scripture, but you hear that old saying all the time. It's like, what does it benefit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So
if profit a man, yo.
There you go. Yeah, so they get in the money, but like how? Okay, I feel like this.
I like this. Wisdom, but we got another question we got to get to here. We got here. We still got a lot more to go. What we got, Fresh?
Last one. Last comment.
So it says right here. This comment. So it says right here. Help the Bear says just because you were a pilgrim doesn't mean you survived, and likewise being a Native American. So just because you definitely wouldn't doesn't mean you survived. That's facts.
Next question.
Right. Yes, sir. So which society was more barbaric, the Native Americans or the Pilgrims? And we'll start off with Angel on that one.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, they're like in Africa, you had tribes fighting against other tribes. And all we can do is go by what the information that's given to us. Okay. So
if you had to guess a pilgrim or Native American, who's more barbaric? You just had to pick, even though you wouldn't want to. Why are you thinking about it, Stat? You already know which one you want to say?
That's a tough one there.
Nah, I wouldn't label either more barbaric. I think that's a looking back kind of moral decision. But I will say this. I will say that if the Pilgrims were truly barbaric, they had the technology to wipe the Native Americans out completely. I will say that because they had the gun. So
if you had to guess, are you saying that they were both equally barbaric or equally not barbaric?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Equal. Okay. Yes. Dre, for yourself.
Toss up. I'm going to say Indians.
Okay, Angel, you ready now?
Yeah, I'm still 50-50 on both of them. About
50-50. So you're saying they're about equal?
Yeah, they're about equal.
Okay,
yeah.
Will.
Man, from what I understand and what I believe I know, I'm gonna have to go with the Pilgrims, man.
There we go. That's my boy Will, Mr. Consistent, all day, every day. He knows what you got.
Native Americans.
Okay, and then Fresh.
Pilgrims.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Pilgrims.
Pilgrims?
Pilgrims.
Okay. So we got a good little mix going right now. Before I get, instead of going into the whys like we normally do, well, I guess we'll do it. Everybody give a quick why. So we'll go first. Give you 30-second why. Say what
I
you
guess,
said.
man, like I got,
Just in case we forget, just say, you picked who you picked and then why.
yeah, I felt that the Pilgrims, man, from what I understand, they seem to come off a little more barbaric. I mean, when I think of the Native Americans and things like that, like I say, what comes to mind to me is a seeming symmetry with nature, or attempt to understand and not ruin the earth that supplies you with your minerals and nutrients. That's what I understand. But why I say the Pilgrims is like y'all said, man, these are people who come, very seemingly religious. The what is it? I think it's like they were like Protestant something background, something like that. So it's like, to claim that, and then you say they were hard workers, so they religious hard workers, but they came and it's like you didn't really want to see people not put on reservations. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want to toil the land, and why you got to make people work for you? You know what I'm saying? Like
Got
that's
you. Okay, I got you. Let's go ahead and go. Stat, have you went yet?
I said both.
What team did you pick and why?
I say both because because I believe that what we call the Native Americans are very good at passing down traditions, the traditions that they have exhibited in fighting an enemy are truly barbaric. When we talk about scalping and pulling out inners and doing that kind of stuff and putting them on display, I think that's truly barbaric. But I think in their conflict against the Pilgrims, they were at a disadvantage, and the Pilgrims were very barbaric by having such technology and being being the likely pro. Let me see, how can I say, being the first to fire, being likely being the first to fire, right? Was truly barbaric on behalf of the Pilgrims. Definitely. So I can say it equally for different reasons.
Got you. And then Enos, what you got?
Yeah, so I understand what people were saying as far as the macro, like it was mass numbers, the Pilgrims or the Westerners, they did dominate this world globally. But I chose the Native Americans because they have religious rituals where they sacrifice kids. That's not in the belief system of the Pilgrims. So that's more barbaric to me. Not doing more violence on the macro level, like I said earlier, I can get that, but barbaric when you sacrificing kids for religious reasons, that's on a whole nother level.
Okay. And then Angel, have you said yours yet?
Yeah, and now that I think about it, yeah, the Indians and thinking about the Aztecs over there, what the blood sacrifices that they made over there.
Some estimate over 2,500 a year.
Yeah, and then over there, I'd rather take a bullet
sacrifice
head sculpt, even though it's gone now, but I'll take a bullet first.
Yeah.
But and I think the colonizers, again, they were more that you would say they were brutal, but they were more faith-based or Christian-based. And I will say that because I remember the stories, hearing how they would decide if a woman was a witch or not, dump her in the water, and if she comes up, she's a witch, but if she doesn't, okay, she wasn't, and we just drowned her, but again, just going back to the Indians, not just Native Americans, but Indians worldwide, in Mexico, and all these other countries, Peru and all that, their way of was very, what we would consider very barbaric and unhumane.
Okay, Coach, you got anything you want to say on that?
I got nothing, bro. I mean, I agree with what they were saying. about the Indians. I
Yeah.
chose Indians, and I'm gonna stick with that.
So anybody, so Will, you know, you had your standpoint. Did you want to cross-examine anybody? Anybody want to cross-examine Will? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I wish we could do the numbers, man, as to how many, you know, for how long. You see what I'm saying? Or yeah, I mean, I wonder what the numbers would be.
The numbers of what? Angel, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys, maybe somebody can remember about the Sentinese people. You know what I'm talking about, the Sentinese people?
Anybody know
So
about
there was
the
this was early, I believe this was in 2018, not too long ago, or 2014. A missionary guy named John Child.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Went to the Sentinel Island, and he was trying to convert the natives.
That's the guy who got speared.
He got arrowed.
Oh yeah,
He got
arrowed.
arrowed. On his third attempt. His first and second attempt, they missed him. And he still attempted a third time to go in there and convert these people to Christianity. And they speared him to death. Because, you know, I guess, you know, they didn't want the diseases. They just didn't want. So, yeah, that was, you know, he came in peace, but they were very barbaric. You know, they were going to kill him.
Gotcha. So, yeah, Fresh.
Maybe they tried to miss him.
You can put the next question up. We'd appreciate that. So, yeah.
They were going to kill him, or they did kill him?
They killed him.
Yeah, they killed him.
They killed him. But he was warned not to go there. He was warned not to go there.
So real quickly, so Help the Bear says some of them Native Americans was putting belt to behind on the other tribes. Pilgrims were more barbaric because they didn't wash they. All right, what else we got? So next question we got, fellas. Do you think you and or your family have benefited more from colonialism than not? Another way of saying that, y'all, do y'all think that you'd been better off if the Pilgrims had never came? So you think you'd be better off if the Pilgrims never came? Yes or no? We'll start off with Coach.
No.
Do you think no, you weren't better off if they would never came? Okay, got you.
Correct.
Well, what about for yourself?
Yeah.
Yes, you'd have been better off if they never showed up?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. Angel, what about yourself?
I think I've been better off if they did show up. So.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay. Fresh? You on mute. You're on mute right now. You know, so
I said no. I was in Africa.
I didn't hear what you said first.
You said no, you're not better off.
No, I'm not. No, I'm better off because of colonialism.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay.
But you know, you.
Same thing. Yeah, I'm better off when they came.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And so, Will, you don't mind being a man on the island right now, man? Boys,
not at all.
Examining you, but
not
okay. So just say why, and then after he gets done, if anybody wants to cross-examine Will on it, go ahead and do it. So go ahead, Will. Why do you say we're better off had they not come over here?
Man, I probably have 150 acres right now. You know what I'm saying? with 600 head.
Came over here.
Let them know, Will.
You know what I'm saying? With 600 head of cattle. Huh?
No, go ahead.
They
Finish.
don't believe in owning land.
Who don't believe in owning land?
The Native
Who don't believe in owning land?
Native Americans. If
that means
you wouldn't have been over. I don't
never
think you'd have been over here if the
you
Native
wouldn't have had none of that stuff you just described.
If the colonizers came over here,
Will
Will might have been over here, right? Will, are you thinking you would still been over here in the Americas, or would you be in Africa?
Yeah, I got ancestry here. Yeah, I'd have been here.
You've been here. Okay.
Yeah, we would have been here chilling.
How would
you know what I'm saying?
And all that head of cattle.
Yeah, man. I probably
head of cattle.
You would have been hooping. Will I tell you that?
Over here and colonialize it.
That's
nah. It would be a whole different society, man. I think the people who was here and had their peoples on the land, I wouldn't just let somebody else come in and get first dibs on that. That's a little crazy to me. They was really allocating land to the people who wasn't there, and then the people that was there, they shrunk down the land they could have. Like why? Who does that?
They didn't own land or the cattle. They didn't have no head of cattle.
I think that was before
introducing that concept.
Nah, I think that gradually it probably would have been gradually as you know things expand and grow, a system of
How do you know
government.
that? Well, how do you know it was going to do that?
That's what I'm saying with the technology. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all hypothetical. It's saying what I think, what I believe.
Right.
I don't think it would have just stagnated and life would be what it was in 1492. Still, 500 years
you don't
later.
think that? Why you don't think it would? They
I mean, if you look outside of the Americas itself, you can look at almost anywhere else.
Because you see a bunch of civilization. They do die out. They do die out all over the world.
Right, right.
We just talked
and you believe that would have happened here?
Still using arrows.
Huh?
I don't know. I just don't know if I'm convinced that it would have continued advancing. One of the reasons why Europe was able to advance because they're peninsula, so they have access to different cultures coming in and out. So that's why they was more advanced and able to take over and conquer the world the way they did. The Native Americans didn't have that type of access to other cultures.
But y'all remember a time when Europe
go ahead, Will.
Oh no, I'm just saying y'all do remember a time, man, when Europe was probably not at the forefront of the industrial technological advancements and revolution. They were in last place.
Somebody conquered them and introduced new stuff to them. Somebody conquered them and said, "Hey, y'all don't. This is what we do. Y'all can wash y'all asses."
Right. Let me lace y'all up and educate y'all, or y'all can come over here and get laced up. You know what I'm saying? They went to these universities, man, or either they had people who were the scholars coming to visit them to give them the game. So they were able to transform their situation just like anybody else would be able to, like in 1,000 years or 500-600 years. So I think that the same thing would have happened here. The same individuals who blessed them would have been all right without them stifling they growth themselves.
Well, I got what you said, and that's been historically documented. Y'all look at the history. Socrates, it wasn't Epistle, Plato. Plato said that going to philosophical schools in Europe was like going to a school for swines, which is pigs, right? So they prefer to go to school in Egypt. So yeah, I agree with that. But my point is, yeah, they was last, but this is why they was able to advance because they had access to different schools and different cultures to advance their civilization. The Native Americans, I don't know much about them to say what they really advanced in, So I think that's why it was easy for them to get conquered. They didn't have a strong religious foundation, monotheism. One believing in one God.
They were pantheists primarily, like you see in the movie Avatar.
Does that make them weaker to you? That makes them weak? Or they just didn't have the weaponry or choose to use it to conquer people? Like you have certain people now.
Conquer or protect. Why not?
Each other.
It's not just conquer. We talk about protection too. They're not able to protect your family. So
playing defense, not offense. You know what I'm saying? Them brothers chose to use their knowledge to go on the offensive end. You know what I mean? I think you protect your family on defense. You have your guns in case the problem is brought to you, and then you respond accordingly. But to go out and say, "Oh man, I think what they have is a little better than what we doing. They're a little more advanced. I think, let's go over here, or let's branch out to other lands and try to push." Like the brother was just saying, my man went back to the island that many times to try to push what he wanted for those people onto them. They gave him a warning, like, "Yo, man, stand back, stand down." He was like, "Nah, I got to, bring you out of this." Maybe they didn't want that.
I do want to address what you said. You said that They was playing more defense. That just shows that they failed. That's the problem. Like you got people that
I think
you have. I was just gonna say this. You got people that you could consider enemies, and you got dominated. You lost. So that would make them weaker by what you're saying in the sense.
Nah, man. I think the strongest individuals can be upfront with their intentions, number one, and they can bring it to you face to face. I don't have to sneak attack you or, disguise it as coming in peace to do something to you. I look at it like this, right? You say
So
these
you say the colonizers, you think they did a sneak attack. You don't think they came
with guns?
Yeah, I think what it is like y'all said, to a certain degree, they were hiding behind the guise of some sort of religious morality. You see what I'm saying? Like those ain't moves of somebody who, in my opinion, is whose moral compass seem to be in the right direction. But also, it's like trips me out sometimes when people are I guess super religious or let's just say Christians, for example. Let's use them. If you say, yo, we don't really, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I just try. I'm trying to follow you. What point?
Oh no, this is right here. This is what I'm saying. You talk about resources and the people being open to having more money and technological advances and going to get other lands. Why does that matter so much to a religious individual who claim that we're not even of this world. We're not seeking out the material things of this world and things like that. It's like, yo, you could have fooled me. You really could have fooled me. Like, I think you care more about this situation.
Well, that's a really good question. So, Will, I'm gonna say your question back. You're saying if somebody's religious and they really have these devout religious convictions, why would they care about all these earthly things in that matter, right?
And taking them from people.
Does anybody want to take up the mantle of answering that question? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'll say my answer then. If nobody else has an answer, I'll say for me that the answer would be to that is the fact that you're still living on this earth. You have a wife, you have kids. Adam was told that he had to work the land. That was a responsibility that was given to God, given by God to him. And so these pilgrims having that same mindset when they come upon this land, they believe they have to work the land. There wasn't a lot of artificial light, so they had to, from sun up to sundown, had to make sure that the next generation, their legacy can thrive. Also, they wanted to be missionaries and go out and give the word, so they had to have resources for them and the people that they're trying to minister to. So their religious devotion was the catalyst for them believing they had to work the land the way they did, and which requires resources. That is the resources, the land. And so now you're starting to rub up against other civilizations that want resources and stuff like that. And there's going to be battles over cattle, over land, over threats. You got your kids playing outside, and you got a certain tribe. Because all these tribes were different. Again, it's not just Native Americans. These tribes weren't called Native Americans. And you have the Pilgrims. You got a bunch of different groups. Some were very aggressive. Some are very warlike. Some are very peaceful. And it depended upon what parts you were in and how much the aggressive types wanted to conquer other lands from other Native Americans as well as colonialists. You're going to have to defend yourself. And you're told as a man of God to defend your family. So that I would say that would be my answer to why they would have some type of right to and desire to care about earthly things, because of the fact that that's what they're told to do all the way from Adam to Revelation.
So were they told to work the land? Or were they told to grab?
Well, I think fresh.
Okay.
Well, I was just about to say, Will, you spoke about them having to defend themselves as if they only had to defend themselves when pilgrims came. They had to defend themselves against other tribes the whole time. But the second point I wanted to make is to go into just culturally, when you talk about the pilgrims coming over, even if we take away out any of the ill intentions, you talk about owning land and all that good stuff, they come from a different culture, right? So most Native American tribes were nomadic. They moved with the food. That's why the teepees were their preferred way of living. They pick up and they move wherever the food goes. Just culturally, pilgrims came from a different place where you don't move with the food. You bring the food to you. You grow it on the land. You build your house where you're at. You can't look at that just culture and be like, that's inherently evil, right? They came to a place where, keep in mind, the Native Americans didn't believe in owning land. So if I'm saying, hey, who landed this? And they're like, nobody's. Say less. I can build my plot right here. Now it's not going into all the other stuff. I'm just saying culturally, again, when you're talking about kind of using the reason and the critical thinking to work through the problem, you got to look at that stuff. That stuff is relevant. You can't just automatically, because of what we know now, automatically attribute that to the pilgrims when they came back, especially because none of us were there, right? We don't have a whole bunch of historical context when it comes to that.
Yeah, so before Will responds to that, Fresh, is there any comments? Help the Bear says they took them boys' laces and threw them over the power lines or trees in their case.
That boy be cutting up, man. He be cutting up for no reason.
So God told them to unalive you, so it's not barbarism.
He ain't got no sense.
Straight up. God told the unalive. Oh man, I don't know who that is. That's funny.
So Enos or Angel, do y'all have any comments y'all want to make before I give it back to Will to close out his thing, and then we go to the next question?
No.
All right, Angel.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So next question we have here. Oh yeah, Will, go ahead and say your closing. You can do it like in a minute or less.
Yeah.
Go to the next question.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know who that was that commented. That was funny though, but yeah, if God told him to work the land, that means he worked the land, right? Or was it saying that, or was it saying that you take others and force them generation after generation after generation to work that land, and then you able to take their resources and their babies, and that's just the plan that we rocking with? Because some people say religion will teach you to enslave, and that slavery is a cool thing. I've heard that. You know what I'm saying? So is that what they were on? Is that the part that they was on when he was talking to them? Like, yo, make these people do that on the land and rock like that? But I don't think it was really that major of
like you said, the whole, though, right?
Huh?
You kind of bounced ahead to slavery. We talking about the pilgrims when they landed. You think they had the Native Americans doing the work, or were they, from all the historical accounts, they was growing their own stuff? They had to be taught how to do it, but they was doing the work. They didn't enslave the Native Americans until way down the road.
Yeah. So what stopped the work being done? Like, why was the treaties broken? Like, if this ain't my land, this ain't your land, but we're gonna agree that, yo, this part right here, I'm gonna work this, you work that, we'll trade, do whatever we agreed to. Who was the people breaking most of the treaties and then, putting people in these situations, and why? If they ready to work the land and we made an agreement, why we breaking the agreement, and why you not working the land? Why you want me to do it?
Got you. That's a great question. Ended on audience out there. That's a good question to think about. But we're not gonna be able to complete that one because we gotta go to the next one. Freshie, what we got next? So this one right here might sometimes a very controversial one. I know Will's gonna have a lot to say on this one as well. So were the Pilgrims right to send missionaries to convert the Native Americans? Coach, what you got? Were the Pilgrims right to send missionaries to convert the Native Americans?
The coach.
My God, I'm gonna bow out tonight, bro. I don't have any information about Pilgrims and Indians, man. I'm gonna bow out tonight, fellas.
All right, my guy. So, Angel, what about yourself?
I'll catch y'all on the next one, though.
Yes, sir.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you for coming, Coach.
What was the question again?
Already.
I don't see that one in my.
Were the Pilgrims right to send missionaries to convert the Native Americans? Yes or no?
Yes.
Enos?
Yes.
Fresh?
Yeah.
Will?
Nah.
Nah,
man. Nah.
So real quickly, Angel, if you can go ahead and state why you think they're right, and then Will, you go after why they shouldn't.
Well, I think the main one is the gospel. Okay. Now, from a biblical perspective, it says to share the gospel. So that was one of the things that they came and brought to the Native Americans. Now, how they did it, by the Bible clearly states, don't pressure, don't push it onto nobody. Say the word, and if they convert, they convert. They don't, they don't. But the problem with the Pilgrims was they were trying to coerce and force the Christianity onto the people. But I just believe that was one of the reasons why it was right to send missionaries over there.
Yeah, and I have to agree that the Bible asks believers to do that, to preach the gospel to the world, and that's what they did. They arrived at the land with a culture of people that wasn't Christian. So,
Got you. Okay, so Will, you said no. Let them boys know.
Man, I mean, if they come in there specifically just, I guess, to convert me from whatever it is that I'm on, it almost seemed like you're coming in with a preconceived agenda that whatever I'm on is probably something that you shouldn't even be listening to or taking into consideration. It's like you sending dudes to convert me. Nah, send them to have a conversation with me. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that, man. Let's talk. But if you coming through with that idea that, your cup of coffee is that much better than mine, like that's disrespect to those people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay,
I've
but real
had
quickly,
brothers.
Will, you said it almost seems. So when you say almost seems, you saying you're not saying that's what it was. It just might look like that to somebody, or what you saying that is them saying that they were superior in some kind of way, or their way was better.
That's just how it comes off.
Way? You saying it looks that way, or it is that way?
From my vantage point, that's what it feels like to me. Like when you say sending people to convert, I remember, the Jehovah's Witnesses come knocking on the door, coming to my house. I think they're the brothers with the watchtowers, right? The watchtowers. I invite them dudes in, like come in and we talk, and we would have, good conversation, man. I, give them Sprite or whatever, orange juice, whatever y'all want to drink, man. Get some water and let's talk.
That poison.
I think they might have been trying to give it to me, man. I was giving them some good water, man. But
trying to give
they
you
came to you to convert you, though. They came to your crib to convert you. When you invited them in your crib, they was hoping to leave with you becoming a Jehovah's Witness.
Them.
And I was hoping they would leave my crib with a little bit more of a broadening of just different people's movement or having
you was hoping to convert them out of Jehovah's Witness.
Hey man, I mean, that wasn't my goal. No, that wasn't my goal. But if something we shared in that conversation made them look at it a little differently, then hey man, I can't.
Question: If you could have your preference, if you could have your preference, would you rather them change from being Jehovah's Witness to something else?
You mean like if I could do magic and Harry Potter?
Would you rather them, after they talk with you, be like, you know what, some of this is cool, but I'm not Jehovah's Witness anymore? Would that have been your preference?
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So that goes to freshly. You're making your point.
Convert.
Especially if you can go ahead and say your why.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was why it was wise to send pilgrims to convert. I want to point this out though.
Please try again.
What in the wide world? Siri, shut up. My apologies. Yes, all right. She interrupted the pod. I want to point out that they didn't send every pilgrim over there to convert, right? They sent missionaries who were a group of people amongst the pilgrims to convert. And it's ordained. We're tasked is the word I'm looking for to, I want to say, what is it? Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, right? So we're supposed to be spreading it. If you're a Christian, that's your mandate, is to go out and share the Lord, share the word with people who don't know the Lord yet. Introduce God to people who don't know. They are in the dark. You're supposed to be bringing the light. But you can't characterize, and this is what a lot of people do, you're characterizing every aspect, everything that the colonists did, and you're attaching it wholesale to Christianity when that's really not the case. There's a bunch of historical stories or statements or accounts that show that some of the evangelists or the missionaries were some of the staunchest detractors of the later treatment that came with the colonists or with the conquistadors.
Yeah, I know a lot of their mindsets.
Kind of working your way through it, you gotta
brothers. So a lot of them, I know a lot of their mindsets, because some of the Native Americans did become Christian and become pastors and preachers in their own areas and missionaries in their own area. And when you talk about, they would provide commentary on their views of it, and they talk about the pantheism versus coming to know Christ. That was a very important point for some of them, and you can Google some of their quotes that some of those Native Americans that converted to Christianity, what they said about their prior culture, or what was still their culture, but just not the religious element of it anymore. And so,
like 50 or 60% of Native Americans today are Christians. They claim themselves to be Christians.
So real quickly, Angel, you have anything you wanted to say about the topic?
Oh, well, like I said, and I'm going to go back to the conquistadors that my friend Freshly was speaking on. And that goes back to my motherland, which I'm supposed to be leaving to go tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow morning in Puerto Rico. So listening
to just out there.
Great grandparents talk. And they say they went through two extremes. The conquistadors came, they battled the Indians there, they fought them. But before the conquistadors were there, they brought missionaries from the Roman Catholic Church to speak to the Taino Indians, who were the natives of Puerto Rico. And it was that's how they became Christian. Christianity was involved, because they brought people from the Roman Catholic Church there and try to convert them and all that stuff. And then they started getting into their type of system with the Spaniards and stuff. And then everything's good or whatever. And now they're being colonized again from the Americans that come and fight off the conquistadors. So they're thinking they're going to be free now. And they're back in colonization again. This time from America. So my point is that a lot of these countries and a lot of these colonists used the church or the missionary to soften these Indians up into their beliefs, and made it a lot easier for them to convert them over to what they wanted them to do. So again, going back to the biblical, you're using God's name in vain the wrong way. That's what they did. When you use God's name in vain, it doesn't just say you got and then a curse word. It's not just that. It's when you're using his word to commit wrong, and that's what they were doing. They were using the church in their behalf to commit wrong. So that was part of the colonization that they brought to Puerto Rico.
Well, you want to respond to any of that was said?
I mean, I was going to tell him, and I was just out there, man, in Puerto Rico, man. Beautiful island. Had a good time out there, man. Yeah, I was checking out some of the history of the Tainos there, man. When you first get there, they give you like bottled water. That's like, I forget the name of it, man. I should have kept one of the waters, man. But it's
hold on, before you do that, Freshly, we got some comments. Ernest Banks says, not under threat, which happened as a courtesy, not a problem. unfortunately, they believe it was their duty to evangelize Native people.
The missionaries. The
Yes.
missionaries. Because the missionaries were not on board with what the colonists or the soldiers wanted to do. They thought they were going there for a peaceful mission, the missionaries, but they were actually being used by the government or the kings and queens to do their bidding, softening them up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The comments, freshly. Ernest Banks also says it was that way. Your comment was send someone to convert. They were there to discuss whose way was better. It was to persuade and often push you. They had leverage.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, anybody want to comment on any of those comments or?
Yeah, I think that's what these brothers were saying. That's kind of, I guess, what I was trying to get at, man. Is nothing wrong with having a conversation with the people about it, but who was it that, I guess, they their history before they or their grandparents or whoever converted to what they believe in, like what was that practice, of their ancestors? What were they believing in at the time? And I would like to ask a lot of them what turned them from that or led to them stopping their spiritual journey at this religious practice or this place,
Fire.
Like fire. What you mean?
If you think fire came from your ancestors or it came from some sort of spirit and you didn't know, and then someone came in and say, listen, I came in to teach you about Jesus, but also I can create fire whenever I want. I got these tools.
You just want to change their mind?
If you come over here and get what I think, you can make fire whenever you want to.
Yeah, there's an
running
account of that. Yeah, with I think it might have been Columbus, but I can't remember exactly. But basically, they didn't have enough resource to make it back to wherever they came from. Certain people that I think it was conquistadors that came over here, and so they were able to predict that there was going to be some kind of lunar eclipse, some type of astronomical situation that happened, and it happened. And the Native Americans looked at it like, wow, this is some divine situation here. And so they gave them the resource. And this particular tribe was the kind of tribe that didn't really store extra stuff. But because of that gesture, though, they did it. They gave them the stuff they needed to be able to make it back to where they came from. And it was just because they had the scientific advancement on their side.
And that's where the information can become a little, I guess, confusing a little bit depending on where you get it from. You see what I'm saying? Because from my understanding, you had tribes a long time ago that was given that same type of information, to those from other places, man, to the Europeans and things like that. Like they were getting, astronomy information, or they were getting, because you gotta understand, man, Egypt been playing with high explosives for years, and they weren't the only ones. So, do I believe that?
Where do you think Europeans got it from?
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, they came to show them some. Hold on, my phone tripping. They came to show them some fire when it's like, man, we over here playing with high explosives and electricity. Like, did they really, you know what I'm saying, like civilize them people so much or give them that much advancement technologically when these are the people who came and gave you the knowledge? You see what I'm saying?
But when you look, but one thing that's interesting to me is when you look around the world, you see the same type of people that have the most technology, have the most robust literature, and anybody who isn't like them is getting it from them. Whether it's the Chinese, whether it's the Indian people, whether it's the Middle Eastern, a lot of their technology is coming from the people who were spreading the missionaries, the people who got the gospel and took it around the world. When you look at it that way. But I want to say this real quick. I think a lot of people don't understand this part too, because when we think about missionaries being sent to these native populations and stuff like that around the world, we just think that they were just singing kumbaya and they were like the Avatar, where they were just, one with nature, whatever the case may be. But a lot of these tribes were practicing very brutal, barbaric practices that was just normal to them. And not everybody in the tribe had a say-so in the matter. So whether it was, people talk about the Aztecs, there's numbers that show that the Aztecs were sacrificing human sacrifice up to 2,500 people a year. You see what I'm saying? And you got to think, when these missionaries see those kind of things, they're going, this ain't right. We got to stop this. This was around the world. In India, there's reports of, in India, whenever the husband would die, they would delete the wife so she can finish her reincarnation process. So imagine you got a woman who's still alive, and then they're going like, yeah, we got to get rid of that. There's evidence of tribes that would bury their elderly people because they were technically not killing them or deleting them, and they would bury them so they didn't have to take care of it anymore because they were just eating resources and they couldn't help with resources at a certain age. And so we're just going to bury them and leave them there. And when the Christians were spreading, the Spartans were throwing babies over cliffs that were deformed. And so when the Christians are going out to places, historically what the Christians would do, they would go and adopt the babies that nobody wanted and raise them up as Christians. And so when the Christians were going to Native Americans, I've seen all these brutal practices, part of that conversion, because you got to think that a lot of religions had human sacrifice. Judaism and Christianity believed that God came in the flesh and he was the sacrifice for all. But the Jews never practiced human 2,500 people a year. Sacrifice. So what do you say, Freshly?
Y'all don't got to kill them 2,500 people a year.
Yeah, it's already been done. It's done. And so a lot of lives were saved as groups became more Christianized. And so people don't talk about that in history. What do you think about that, Will?
I don't know how accurate that is. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean,
if it was accurate, let's just say if it was accurate, what would you think about that?
I mean, I don't know if that was accurate.
You still got, child mutilation happen around the world. It's the Christian countries who are going out trying to stop those kind of things.
Nah, man, they're doing a lot of the sex trafficking, bro.
Honor killings, all that kind of stuff that's still happening around the world. Slavery still happening around the world. It's the European, it's the Christian nations who are going like, hey, look, we got to cut this stuff out. We got to stop this stuff.
I don't know about that, fam. Nah, look at where we live. Look what's going on here.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think's practicing more slavery? Christian countries or non-Christian countries?
Who's practicing more slavery?
Yes.
Like actual
slavery.
Like that's bondage, and I own you wherever you at. I can beat you and whoop you, like that type of slavery.
Whatever variation of slavery you want to go with, like all, because there's a bunch of different variations.
Right.
You add them all up. If you add them all up, who's doing it more? The Christian countries or the non-Christian countries?
Christian countries. And I heard that from a pastor himself. The pastor said that. Well, he was an ex-pastor. You know what I'm saying? He's an ex-pastor, and he gives a lot of different insight on what we're actually reading, what it is, and why he had to get up out of that situation. Okay. So if you talk to him, that's him saying that. That ain't necessarily me saying it. That's the brother. And when I listen to what he's saying, I'm gonna send y'all a link to some of his stuff, man. When you listen to what the brother's saying, to me, it makes a lot of sense. Like there's a lot of, like you say, different forms of slavery. It's not always physical bondage where I can tell you when and where to be. But because I'm so tapped into your mind and I'm able to manipulate the movements that way. That could be a form of slavery too, bro. Like they say, mental slavery is real. And it's certain people that's from that world or that cloth that when I listen to some of them who like, and there's a lot of them, I didn't know it was as many who was like, yo, I had to put that down and get away from that. And I can understand that. That's more, I guess, what we was talking about earlier with the brothers coming through to convert it's like, yo, well, let's come through and have a conversation together and build. Because after building, you might not feel like that paradigm fits you anymore.
Let me
You
ask
see what
you
I'm
this
saying? It
question.
might be something.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think has established more hospitals around the world? Christian nations or non-Christian nations?
Does it matter or no? Because to me, that sounds like
it may not matter. If it don't matter to you, it don't matter to you.
no.
I know you go to hospitals.
I don't. Nah, not too much. But I mean,
no, not too much.
To me,
not
that's like Nino Brown. If Nino Brown pass out some turkeys every Thanksgiving, all the crack he sell in buildings he take over, that's cool, right? I don't think so. And that's like you can pass out some turkeys and do some good, or you can cover up the garbage, but the smell gonna linger. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I get that, but when I look more into it, it's like, yo, you got ex-preachers saying this here is more aligned with a cult, they would say, than being more, of actual coherent belief of a religious practice or dogma. Because think about it, right? Anywhere else dealing with people, like in the world, if let's say we dealt with a person, right? And every time you saw him or you spoke to him, you could either take what he was saying this many different ways, or there's some contradictions in it. Like it's books and articles and all type of stuff out that shows thousands.
Well, this is a long question, statement, question.
Oh no, because no. Well, that's what I'm saying is it's like you got books out here that's showing literal inconsistencies just with things as simple as a location. Like, nah, he was born over here. Nah, he was born over here. Like, nah, this is his brother's name. Nah, this is his name. And I'm talking about this all the way.
I'm trying to understand.
What I'm saying is
the question back up freshly, but I'm trying to understand how you connecting that.
That's all the way through that book. And what I'm saying is, right, were the Pilgrims right to send minorities to convert people? So you're trying to convert individuals to something that has been pointed out by so many to have just literal inconsistencies just with the writing and what was put down. But they say,
let me ask you this real quick then.
If
which one has more inconsistencies, the Native American spiritualities or Christianity?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about the Native spirituality, but from what I can observe, it seemed like what you see was, I guess, what you got. You know what I mean? I don't think they tried to put something on you or show you something and tell you, yo, this is the literal word of God, but he got 2,000 inconsistencies about people, places, and things that he wants you to understand, allegedly. But it's all these inconsistencies in the book. If somebody in real life tried to deal with us like that, we would not deal with a person like that. We'd be like, fam, I holler at you when I see you. You wouldn't probably invite them to your house. You wouldn't be calling them, hanging with them.
You're not familiar with the Native American spiritualities, but you are very familiar with Christianity as a spirituality. And so that's the one that you can critique the most, because you can't really critique the Native American, the various Native American ones, because you don't know much about them. Okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But you also have to consider that most of the inaccuracies, if you want to call them that, you have to attribute it to human fallacy.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, but it's the human fallacy that doesn't dispute the actual message of Christianity.
Well, if
you're saying, like, because humans make mistakes, the religion, the belief system, you could do that with every religion across the nation. There's There's no religion that people subscribe to that doesn't have inaccuracies, that doesn't have people who don't follow the doctrine 100%. It doesn't exist because people are fallible by nature.
Right. So if man had his hands,
oh,
now go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. No,
I'm just saying if man had his hands in there with the construction of the book, his hand was in there. You can see it. Like it's like over 1,000 of them. You just look it up. So it's like, how can anybody?
Religion is valid.
Huh?
Then no religion is valid. No religion is valid.
There you go. So how can somebody come and try to pass off to people, yo, this is the literal word of God, and we're gonna live by this?
No, but it's the belief system. Every religion is trying to convert you to their religion. They want you to see things. It's a perspective, but it comes from a system of beliefs. It comes from a belief in a deity and what that deity said. That's how that works. So essentially, what you're saying is basically, if you're whatever you're saying about Christianity, you have to apply it across the board to every religion. But that's not what you're doing. You're specifically calling out Christianity as fallible because of the mistakes made in the writing.
Nah, I think that's because the Pilgrims, I think, were Christians. I think that's the only reason I'm using them for that example. Like I don't know if the Native Americans were at that time Christians. So these are people that's pushing they pushing the Christian doctrine and way of life and understanding on them. So I think that's, all of them, bro. Like I've long since personally, stopped saying that I claim or adhere to a specific doctrine like that. You know what I'm saying? I can respect everybody's, system or something like that, but I'm just saying from a logical standpoint, if it's that much inconsistency, we wouldn't bet on it so hard, or we wouldn't deal with a person that came with us and he told you he drink Pepsi, he don't drink Coke. Do you see him with a Coke? Or he told you his mama was dead.
Inconsistencies had been exposed in the 1800s. You think the Pilgrims knew about the inconsistencies that we do in the 1800s when they were tasked with spreading the word?
If they read what they were looking at, then I think they would see it. Maybe they choose to overlook and ignore it. Maybe because being a part of something makes a lot of people feel good. So they're like, yo, I'm a part of this. This is my community. So it make them, it's like Democrat or Republican. Some people gonna vote Democrat every time just because that's they flock, that's their team. Their family is Democrats. But at the end of the day, if it was anything else other than religion and somebody saying this is the word of God, you would not trust nobody that would come to you every day and it's not the same consistency throughout what they doing. Like he'd be like, I ain't got no kids, and then you see him with 3 kids. I'm like, bro, I thought you ain't had no kids. Oh no, man, I got.
But I don't think that's what you see with Christianity. I think for the bulk of human history with Christianity, from the start till now, it's been the most consistent. That they started off to helping the poor and the widows and providing medicine and whatever the case may be with people who didn't really have much themselves. They didn't have power. They didn't have the sword. They didn't have the gun when they started, but they spread like wildfire, spreading the message, being good Samaritans, following the teachings of Jesus until literally they become the most popular religion. So I would say I think they have been the most consistent. The Bible, a lot of scientists, Isaac Newton, Copernicus, Galileo, Louis Pascal, all the different people you can think of. A lot of these guys attribute their Bible knowledge and their reading of the scriptures to why they even explored the endeavor of science and making it an institution today. A lot of people who did humanitarian efforts and go out and do things in other countries, people that can't help them back, they say, I do it because of what I read in the Bible. You don't see that anywhere else. There's no other organization and or religion who has done more humanitarian efforts than the church. Can you think of one who's done more than the church?
For humanity.
From a religious standpoint.
Period.
For humanity.
I'm thinking you think of an organization and or religion that has done more humanitarian efforts than the church.
It's just like the brother Angel was just saying, though. It's a caveat to that. It's
But can you? I'm
it's
not
an
asking.
agenda to that, bro. They're not just doing
the
it.
first question though. Can you think of one? Can you give us a name if you can?
That has done more
Humanitarian. That means feeding the sick, providing medicine, scientific discovery to help people with ailments and sicknesses and how to make work easier, so women can go and work jobs and they don't have to spend hours washing clothes, and education from Martin Luther all the way to what we have now. What institution has done more with education and science and technology and medicine and helping the poor and easing famine?
Running water.
This means they running water.
Well, I'm asking you, like, what organization in a religion would you say has done more? Can you name one?
I would say if you do the equivalent of negative as positive, have you done positive? Have you broke even? Because the technological advance.
Do you have one? Well, do you have an organization and a religion that has done more?
Gonna answer the question.
Oh no! This is all I'm getting at. This is what I'm saying though. It's like if you're taking as much as you're giving, are you really giving? That's why I was saying the whole Nino Brown thing.
You just said you're taking as much as you're giving, then yeah, you're giving because you just said to giving. But my question is, can you think of an organization or a religion that has had more humanitarian efforts than the church?
I can't say that I have.
Consistency. That's consistency right there.
But the atrocities is just consistent,
at the highest level. We're talking about famine. We're talking about disease. I mean, just where you are right now, you can walk through churches all around you in your city, not even counting the whole continental U.S., but just in not even counting other countries that have Christians, but you can go to churches that are sending missionaries right now to bushes in the cold and the heat, dealing with mosquitoes, just to give medicine to people. They don't have no political power. They're not going to gain anything from it. They're spending their own money in impoverished churches to wealthy churches to send people over there to give medicine and all kind of stuff out, teach literacy, all that kind of different stuff. And they're going to get nothing out of it in earthly terms.
These are people from all walks of life that can come in here.
Right.
So
and I feel like,
I think the point that Vulcan is making, or I'm not going to put that on him. The point that I'm going to make is most people who are detractors of Christianity only look at the negative, but you can easily attribute those to human fallibility. If you look on the other side at the good stuff, the humanitarian stuff, you ask those people, hey, why are you doing this? Most Christians are not saying, well, I just happen to be a good person, right? It's because I was commanded by the Lord. Christianity. This is why I'm doing this. Christianity saved me, so I'm saving others. Like that. But people who are detractors of the faith, they don't consider those things. And I think that's why Vulcan is asking the question, like, do you know who's done more good, more humanitarian efforts as a religion, right? In the name of a religion and that religion's deity. You can't name it. So the same time we're saying, like, hey, I've seen atrocities committed in the name of Christianity. Right. Why is it that can't be associated or attributed to, like, well, those are bad people who are using a tool incorrectly
in a big population?
In a big population, right?
I think you looked at both ways. The same with the good people.
But most people don't. Good people. You haven't done that the whole time. Every point you've made hasn't considered the other side of that coin, which is a much larger coin. It's a much larger side, like, much heavier.
What? Then the bad side?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say that, man. I don't know if I can say that.
I know at the time that I've had these conversations with you, I've never heard you extol the virtues of the church. And it was one thing if they haven't, we don't know that, you don't know that much about them, or they haven't done much, but what they've done is right in front of your face. The hospitals in your city are named after churches.
Yeah.
The hospitals in a lot of cities
by those churches.
You're not going to see Buddhist, hospital. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm sure they have them. Just the Catholic Church alone has thousands of hospitals around the world, and most of them, over 50%, 60%, are in underdeveloped places.
Soup kitchens.
Meaning they're not making nothing off it. It's a
shelters.
hospital. They taking L's financially.
But I mean,
Soup kitchens,
if
homeless shelters, all that stuff.
I can dig that. Like I can get with that. But that's like anybody you deal with. That's why I liken it to a person. If you're dealing with somebody, right, and he out here wild, doing he killing, he dealing, he doing whatever he doing out here. And whenever you speak with him, there's some inconsistencies with y'all conversation and all that. Are you gonna rock with him solely because he done donated this much money to the United Way, or he sent some money to Haiti? You're gonna be like, oh, it's okay, you out here raping kids, but you did this good thing right here.
Great.
I rock with you. Is that how y'all play it?
Yeah, you gotta say great. Grape. Grape.
No. We're saying
oh,
he
my
was
bad,
a fallible.
grape, my bad, graping
there
kid, my bad.
Atrocities. There are atrocities that go on in the name of Christianity. What we're saying is those people are wrong. But that's not where the conversation ends. But so far it has ended for you. Like you only highlighting those things.
No, I'm taking it all into totality, and I'm not gonna say that okay. No,
I ain't heard it.
Yeah, no, for real. Like if you really check my stance, I put it all into totality. It's like I wish I could tell a story, but it's real personal, and I ain't gonna put the business out there online just yet. But like if we dealing with somebody, I would tend to believe most people use that metric when they're observing somebody, who they are, what they're about, and how they move. You're gonna take their good works, you're gonna take their bad works, and then you're gonna put it all into totality. So you say the bad is on the people, and the good is on the religion only. Why can't it be the good as well? It's just good people that happen to be involved in the Christian church that don't want to do no harm to other people or want to help other people. Helping other humans and stuff was around before. You know what I'm saying? The advent of Christianity.
Feel free to put it in the comments if you want, whenever you want, Fresh.
Okay. You can look at them both, but if you ask those people and then you pair that with the actual doctrine, what it says, the good things align more with the doctrine than the bad things. It's very easy for me, a Christian, to point out, to look at some of the stuff that you're talking about, like, yeah, that's not right. What you're saying is because that person did it, that's a representation of Christianity. Whereas if you look at the doctrine, you can look at these different deeds and say that's closer to what Christianity requires. It's closer to what Christ requires of his followers than that is. It's very easy to do that. But when you're arguing from a bias, you're only going to look at this side and be like, dang, that dude's a Christian? Why he doing that? Keep in mind, most Christians are doing things that people from all religions do because they're people.
Right.
Christianity did not invent bad things, right? People from every religion do bad things. People from every religion kill, murder, rape, they all do that. That's because.
But I want to say this though: Christians do bad things just like everybody else, because that's, like you said, that's a human thing. But I don't think you'll find a religion that goes out of their way to try to correct the bad things, not just homegrown, but even around the world. You're not going to find another religion that goes out of their way to do that nearly as much as Christians.
And
historically and today.
I would have to probably get a little bit more knowledge on all the various, religious, spiritual systems out there. You know what I mean?
How many missionaries came to you while you was walking down the street in your neighborhood? How many non-Christian missionaries came to you to try to tell you the good news?
Them probably been the only ones that came through, man.
And the thing is, you know, anybody can come over here to America, especially, you know, since we've been alive, come over here and do whatever they want. Nobody's policing nobody. They want to walk up to you and talk to you about anything they want to. They don't come with that.
But see, check this out, though.
But I bet you if you were in Africa and India, you might run into a Christian.
They'll chop your head.
Yeah. Let me feed you, brother, and tell you about this good news.
You think that's what he's gonna do?
We got a hospital set up over here. We got this little shelter over here. We can take care of you and your kids.
Yeah, and I do these good things because I'm commanded. I'm mandated by my faith to do these good things.
And they just want to do it. I mean, I rarely even heard Christians bring up the mandate. Most times I heard Christians, that's what they wanted to do.
Because they're Christ-like, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Facts.
Yeah, I'm being as close to Christ as I can, so I do good deeds. I treat people the way I want to be treated. I take care of the poor and the homeless and the defenseless. That's what I do because that's what Christ did.
And the reason why this is important is not to try to convince you that Christianity has no flaws or Christians specifically have no flaws. It's to say, just like the colonizer comment I was talking about earlier, along with this, we focus so much on the negatives, we don't even look at all the positives. And then we focus so much on the negatives of the big boy on campus, we won't even look at how terrible a lot of other options were, which gave room for that to become the biggest dog. You got one religion that, you know, you got other religions that say that don't have an issue with slavery at all. Christians come around and be like, yeah, we got to get rid of this. This is not going to work.
And then you'll have a pastor that'll turn around and say Jesus was promoting slavery. This is a pastor saying this, not me.
Then you have other pastors come and do a whole video about how he's wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
They will self-correct.
That's what I'm saying. It's so much in that book.
So much
that's
drama.
The only thing
it's kind of hard being Christian.
it's like that's one of the only things that can get away with that much what's the word I'm looking for, man? We could take it that many ways, you know what I'm saying?
Let me read these comments real quick and then you can get back to your point. Help the Bear says, just because someone says they are a gang member does not mean they truly are. They get vetted by members they are tried and true. They get vetted by members who are tried and true. Real Christians, you will know them by their fruit, paraphrasing. And again, I think that's a really good point because I think when it comes to people claiming, like if Donald Trump claims to be Christian, we go, he's a Christian, look at all the stuff he's done, right? But historically, time we've known Trump, he's never walked around calling himself Christian until he really got political. So most devout Christians don't look at him and go, oh yeah, that's a shining picture of what a Christian looks like. Some people are culturally Christian, or they respect or they esteem Christianity, but that doesn't mean that these are people who you would look to as an example of Christianity. And we all know that because he gives an example about gangs. If you see a kid that's in the suburbs that, you know, comes from a stable home, you know, like I use Joe Budden, for instance. Joe Budden said his mom told him, don't be out there lying about you coming from poverty and all that kind of stuff. You came from a good home. You know, in the same way, a lot of guys that they can be out there claiming they were this or that, or you know, they can be gangster, but people who really are like that are looking like they're not part of us. You can't even come here.
We believe the gang.
So he's
not with us. We don't claim that dude. We believe them. Like, oh, he's a poser.
Christians can self-police. They'll be like, well, if Christians saying that so-and-so is all arguing about who's a Christian, who's not a Christian. It's like every organization says they're really not with us, or they really are with us. From gangs do it to schools do it, all kind of different places. Another comment by Ernest Banks says that's an unfair statement, James. I don't know if we had somebody that made a comment about named James earlier. Can you think of any organization that has influenced or caused less death, justified suffering, and hate?
He got a point.
Well, so I think that's a great question.
He don't got a point. That's a good question. No.
I can't say it's. I can't think it's. I say it's a point because it was questions, but but I do think it's a really good question. He said but we say it's an unfair statement. But I think he's referring to my question about any other religion or organization that has done more good for the world than the church. I think he's referring to that. That'll be more of a question than a statement. But to his point, he's saying, okay, we can reverse it and say, can you think of an organization has influenced or caused less death, justified suffering, and justified hate? Obviously, one that doesn't exist did less, or one that didn't only existed for a year did a lot less. So I mean, yeah, I could definitely think of ones that have done a lot less bad.
Genghis Khan was he believed in the traditional Mongolian belief. That's not Christianity. Hannibal believed he was a multi-theistic. He had a multi-theistic religion. He wasn't a Christian. That's just two people who have a body count that hasn't been rivaled to this day.
Yeah, and if you get into communist places that suppress religion,
I think Christianity got more bodies. I think, bro. Honestly,
I would say communism has way more bodies than Christianity has.
I think you just got to do your research. This is the argument from bias. You can go on the line and look up stuff that you already believe and find plenty of stuff. You got to widen that scope, man. You got to look at other stuff.
Let's find the answer. Let's find
quickly, this is where it gets dicey.
I just gave you a couple. Look at those dudes' body counts over the span of their careers.
Their career didn't run as long as Christianity has been running. Christianity's still catching bodies tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Like who? Who are you referring to?
Who's dying in the name of Christianity?
What, man? Who just did all the smoking? Who just smoked? The dude y'all was talking about, Kirk, wasn't he a Christian dude? The dude who smoked him? Wasn't his family Christians? Right? I'm just saying, like,
do it in the name of Christianity?
I'm letting you finish.
That's a reach and a half.
Yeah.
No.
You went from Kirk to the guy who shot him to the guy's family.
No. I'm just saying. I'm like, we're in a country and society where it's probably 80% Christian here, 60%.
You're saying that Charlie Kirk died was taken out in the name of Christianity. He was one of the biggest. Okay.
No. The cat that gave it to him. Like I'm saying, it's still
right. That would have been in the name of Christianity. Hey, I'm taking you out in the name of. I'm taking you out because I'm a Christian and you not. That would be a body being caught in the name of Christianity.
Right, but I'm saying the Hannibals, the Genghis Khans. What was their goal? Was it to just kill all people who don't want to convert and believe what they believe in, or were they power hungry and thirsty individuals?
So
what was the reason for those murders?
You're able to do that with other people, but not. You're able to separate the two.
No, I'm asking,
religions, but not Christianity.
No, I'm asking if that's what their goal was.
I'm saying the fact that you're even asking that questions means you are able to separate the people from the religion. You just asked, like, outside of the religion, what's their goal? Why is that not? Why does Christianity not get that question?
Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily know. You know what those brothers.
You're tying every bad thing that a person who claims that they're Christian does to Christianity, but as soon as I bring up another religion, you're like, well, yeah, but what were they trying to do? Was it why?
Okay, we'll stick to anything that got to do with crusading or countries who put, I guess, God within their doctrines, who go out and take over and fight wars. Would that be fair enough to say that's in the name of Christianity? God bless America and all this good stuff like that? Would that count, or can we just deal with, the earlier Christian church when it was really going out there and like, yo, we gotta stop the I guess the non-belief, you know what I'm saying, the spread going on. If we here and you attacking what we believe in, then that's a conflict right there. What's up?
What I'm asking is, why are you unable to separate bad deeds done by people who claim to be Christians from the religion? while you're able to do that automatically with other religions and people, is what I'm saying. Because you're essentially what you just try to do is just cut down the time frame. We're like, okay, well, I can't do it for them, but I can still attach all Christians to the bad deeds. Or you can't do it.
No.
We people. They are fallible in nature. You can't attach everything bad that they do, even if it's in the name of, to the doctrine. That's what you're doing. We can just call them bad people. We call them misled, misguided people who make mistakes. They're fallible, just like everybody else. So you telling me there's never been a Muslim who's taken a life in anger?
Oh yeah.
There's never been a 5%er who's done a wrong deed, an indecent deed. There's never been a Buddhist who, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't attach fallible human doings and be like, well, he did that because he's a Christian, or he did that because he's a Buddhist, or he did that because he's a 5%er. He did that because he's a Muslim. Like, that's not how that works. And I'm only pointing out the fact that you were easily able to do that as soon as we got to a different religion.
Nah, because it's like when it comes to the good, when it comes to the good, it's not like y'all saying, okay, this is one good dude who's in this organization that want to do something good for these kids over here in this country, or he wants to donate, you know what I'm saying, this money. When it comes to the good, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Christian church doing good. Nah, it's a couple dudes in that church that's good dudes that's doing good that just happen to be Christians then.
Okay, real quick, but you have to
can't just be on the bad, bro.
Doctrine. No. Again, it can be. Here's the reason why. You have to go into the doctrine and be like, hey, did Christ command you to do those bad things? If you can't find it in a doctrine, that's a fallible human being thing. They're misusing a tool. But if you go in and look at the doctrine itself and look at the good deeds being done in the name of that doctrine, you can easily align and pair them up. Like, you know what? He's doing that. That's what Christ did. He's doing that. That's what Christ did. He's doing that. That's what Christ commands him to do. It's very easy to do those things.
But it's also easy to be like,
good deeds are happening.
But it's also easy to be like, yo. But it's also easy to be like, nah, it's easy to say, okay, in this book, we have pastors and other people pointing out, okay, Jesus promoted slavery. Jesus came into a place that wasn't even his and started whooping niggas with a whip and flipping tables and doing all that. Like, you a wild dude, Jesus.
No, it was his father's house. That was the temple. It was already commanded that type of stuff should have been happening.
People wasn't related to him. The people was not related to him. They wasn't related to him. He coming in somebody else building, flipping tables. Jesus would have got shot straight up, trying to whoop.
Again, what you have to realize is that the temple was built as a monument to his father. It was already commanded that type of stuff should have been happening there. He didn't just make up in his mind and he was going to do that.
He's everybody's father. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. So guess what? If I come into my mother's house and my little brother is acting wild, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna beat on his head until he get it together. Hey, you know you're not supposed to be doing this in this house. You can't do this. You know why? I'm the oldest. I came up with the mandate. Mama said you can't do this in here, and you in here doing this. I'm finna get on your top.
Mama said knock you out.
I'm finna say it like this. If mama is not always right and exact and accurate, mama can get it too, daddy can get it, and brother can get it too. I'm standing on business. Like, if I'm justified in what I feel like I'm doing, you know what I'm saying?
You said always. So we're saying that you have to be perfect. You have to be perfect to have a mandate.
No.
So my mom always has to be right. She can't have no faults. If she does, I can't come in there and lay down law based on what we were taught, what we were commanded to do. I can't come in there and tell my little brother, like, you know, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's not how we was raised. That's not what mom said. Because mom has made a mistake before. She hasn't always been accurate. She said one thing one time and another thing the other time.
No. What I'm saying is this. If I'm having a disagreement with moms about something, right? And me and her got that going. Huh?
That's not what they were doing in the church. They were wrong. They were flat out wrong.
What were they doing?
You can go look at they were selling wares. in the church, a church that wasn't like a gym that they turned into a church. They built that church as a monument to God. That's what churches were back then.
What is selling
That's supposed to be
wares?
going on in here.
Well, what was they selling though? What was that again? I missed that.
It don't matter. The law said, the mandate said, this type of stuff is not supposed to be happening in the house of God. They were out of line. They were out of order. God came in, or Jesus came in there as his father's son and got them together. He didn't kill nobody. All he did was flip their tables and wares. You're supposed to be doing this stuff out there. This is not supposed to be in here. This house is sacred. You can't do that in here. If you, and then here's the thing. If you claim yourself to be Christians, you're wrong. Guess what? I'm gonna stand on business. I know how it go. Y'all are wrong. I'm gonna come in here and tell y'all wrong. Get out of here. If you can't respect my house, you got to get out, bro.
Okay, I
ain't kill my brother. You gotta leave.
I can give you that, but this the same Jesus who was saying that, you know, the slaves damn near should be obedient to their masters and stuff like that. Well, what is that about?
Come on, man. Will, as many times as we talked about that particular verse, that particular statement on this platform, bro, you can't just keep reading it for face value. You got to take context, and it's so much out there where that debunks that. There's so much out there. Just do it. That's what I'm saying. You argue from a point of bias. Go do research. Go find out what Jesus was actually meaning when he said that. You can't take that statement for face value. There's so much context, underlying context that tells you what he actually meant, how it was being interpreted. You're just looking at it like he said slavery is okay, but that's not.
No, I'm just saying that's one of them. I mean, okay, I'm finna give you some more examples. They say cast demons to a herd of pigs, then ran off the cliff and who ran off a cliff and drowned. Some people say that's animal abuse right there. Is right. That cool?
Animal abuse is a modern society thing. That we just came up with animal abuse. There was no animal abuse back then, and all he did was throw it into a lesser thing. Hey, I value human life, so guess what? Because I need to cast these demons out, I'm putting them in something that is not human. So animal abuse is the thing that we came up with.
All right, check this.
In other countries, modern countries, animal abuse ain't even a thing. That's mostly an American, a Western thing. It's a thing we made up.
Matthew 21:2 tells his disciples to steal a donkey because God said it's okay, and they do it.
Come on, what's the rest of the verse, bro? What's the rest of the scripture? There's a scripture before that and a scripture after it. You cannot play those types of things.
Theft or now? Is theft not theft, or is it not? If you said somebody steals,
what did he tell them to steal it for? This is my point when I'm talking about arguing from bias, because you'll take context into anything else. But what did he say for?
Let's find out. I'm curious myself.
The fact that you don't know means that you only read that one verse and ran off. You didn't even read the whole chapter.
My thing is, I'm not going to claim that I'm the most well-versed individual when it comes to the entirety of the biblical scripture. But I do know.
Be well-versed on your own argument. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to be a scholar of the Bible. I'm saying the thing that you're bringing up, you don't even have proper context on those, but those are your points of you standing on those points. You don't even
standing on the points that
understanding of the thing that you're bringing up. I didn't bring that up. You did.
I mean, as we go into the conversation in more depth, there's things that I do, you know what I'm saying, know that I've heard, and there's some I don't. I don't claim to know. So in real time, it's coming up right now. It wasn't my initial base of the argument, but you know what I'm saying, what the parts I do know, and when you put that in conjunction with what I don't know and we go through it, you can see that, you know, this man in this situation isn't what people seem to want to make it out to be. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only thing I'm getting.
I'll be honest with you. That whole last statement you made, I don't understand what you meant. Would you mind clarifying? That watch is nice. Would you mind clarifying for me?
I appreciate it, man. Little AX joint, little AX. Nah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be so. I didn't hear anything. So when you say you're looking at this man and saying that he's not what can you clarify what you mean by that? Or rephrase?
Yeah. Okay, it's like scripturally in the Bible. I spoke earlier. Crazy contradictions all the way throughout. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to go through those contradictions with me. We can go through some real quick, about 5 minutes.
No. I'm not arguing that they don't exist. This is my point, and this is the only point I've been making this whole time. I'm arguing that you're arguing from a place of bias because everything that you bring up so far has only been negative, and then we're challenged on that. Or when the stuff you're bringing up, you don't even have a full context on the points that you're defending, that you're bringing up in your defense. I'm saying, hey, apply it to people, and you're bringing up, okay, so what about the temple? Contextually, the temple is not what you brought up. What about the theft? You only read that one verse, and I didn't bring it up. So when you brought it up, I'm saying, okay, well, what's the context? What's the verse on one side or the other side? And you're like, I don't know. So that means you're arguing from a very narrow place. All I'm asking you to do is be objective when you're looking at these things.
Right.
That's kind of the point of the show. When you look at these things, look at both sides. Based on what you just told me, you only look at the one thing that you needed to make this argument against.
No.
Other concept.
I pointed at the first one. I think was the slavery thing. We ran that down a little bit in another show and a little bit in this one. That was some context to it. You know what I'm saying? Jesus coming in, whooping niggas with whips, putting his hands on something. That was a little bit of context to it. You gave more and said, yo, he right to put his hands on somebody for selling something. That's debatable, but I put context in that. The only one I didn't was just this last one because we're going through it now and I'm looking at the list. That's the only one I ain't give you nothing for, to be like, it was all narrow. 1 out of 3, fam?
No.
Really?
No. What I'm saying is the context does not include. So when you talk about context, that widens the picture. There's other things like right on either side of those. So the slavery thing, everyone who uses that argument, most of them don't have context. What I'm saying is the fact that we added context to it, we've gone on in other shows. If you're still making that argument, that means you're not considering the context.
Because I've seen
of it.
What I've seen is cats who allegedly, or you people would think, have more time and more invested or more information in the doctrine than you cats that say otherwise. They got that. So now we're comparing what we discussed along with these other dudes I've seen and got context from, or checked their arguments and was like, well, dang, I still kind of lean a little bit more toward their explanation of it. I can't just take yours or his. I'm trying to look at everybody's and get it together. You know what I'm saying? So when you have multiple listings of things, and I'll be the first to admit, I don't got context in all of them, but that's why I'll look at the group of ex-pastors and all of them is on there like, yo, this is some real wackiness kind of cult situation. I'm like, yo, well, I know some brothers that these some logical dudes. Let me look at what they saying and what they saying. So, you know what I'm saying? Right. That's why the whole Jesus situation with the slavery was still brought up, because we talked about it. But then I seen some other dudes who was like, nah, he said this in more than one place. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going off of that as well. So I think that's why I come off like that. Huh?
What if he meant the same thing in all those places? Why is there not consideration that the people who are thinking that means that are misinterpreting? We say something like, I'm gonna give you a good example. We say money is the root of all evil a bunch of times. That's not even a verse, but it's widely believed when you say that's an accurate Bible verse, and people base whole arguments off of it, and it's not even what the verse actually says.
Right.
But if you want to argue against Christianity, you'll say that. All you have to do is actually go read it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying that those people are wrong. I'm saying if you're going to argue on those points, then you have to have a full understanding. You should have a full understanding of everything that went into that. You know what I'm saying? But most people are just arguing what the verse said as opposed to what the verse meant, right? Oh, Jesus went in there and he was whooping on people. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know anywhere where it says that he couldn't do that, whether he was doing it for the right reasons or not.
Biblically, right? Biblically, scripturally,
biblically or otherwise.
That said he couldn't do that.
Where did it say that he couldn't run up in there and start flipping them tables? What law said that?
Was he whooping people? Did he
get arrested?
See, everybody commit crime. I ain't got arrested for every crime. Do everybody get arrested for every crime? Come on now, you can do crime without getting arrested,
again,
bro.
But this is what I'm saying though. That is when you're talking about context. I brought that up because I understand the full context of it. I understand what he did and why he did it. I grew up. I got whooping when I was wrong. It's discipline.
Man,
I never got whooped for something I hadn't been told how to do or what to do. I got whoopings when I've been talked to. I've been, hey, this is the rule in this house. Hey, I'm just reminding you, this is the rule in this house. You ain't supposed to be doing it in this house. Okay, so now you understand what's going on. I've told you multiple times. Guess what? I'm finna get physical with you because that is the only way that you understand that type of thing. And keep in mind, he did that as a human being. He was in a human body, prone to human emotions. Y'all pissing me off. Y'all here disrespecting my father's house like this. I'm finna get wicked with y'all.
I mean,
contextually,
he asking for whatever he's gonna get with that. Like, there's no authorities he could call. If somebody take them type of actions in their own hands, people will look at them crazy. They be like, "Yo, you ain't called no authorities to deal with that. You just came in and started trying to whip on grown men."
Got in there. You think they just moved? You think they were squatters, or you think they had to get permits? You think they had to get permission to be up in the church? And then when you look at who was in charge, how did they get in there? You think they just popped up in there and the people who ran the churches couldn't get them out? Or you think the people who ran the church, who were in charge, had them in there, were the ones doing it? This is what I'm talking about.
I want to say the people who probably was in charge was probably the ones doing it.
Yes, they were wrong. But context. This is what I'm saying. When you bring up that stuff, you have to consider, like, okay, well, there wasn't no authorities they could call. Those were the authorities. Those are people in charge. That's why he was pissed off. He wasn't pissed off at normal people, at regular people who didn't know no better. He's pissed off at Christians who claim to be followers of Christ in the house of God, disrespecting it, doing stuff that they know not to do.
Right.
That's my point. And contextually, you got to look at that stuff like, okay, he wasn't wrong. He was doing what he's supposed to do. Nobody's gonna say I'm wrong for whooping my my little brother in my mom's house for disrespecting my most people, especially our people, gonna be like, yeah, he shouldn't have been disrespecting your mom like that. You definitely should have punched him in his mouth. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't maim anybody. He just went in there and started flipping. He disrupted it. Y'all got to get up out of here with this BS. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, what was the context behind this particular verse right here?
No, you tell me. This is what I'm saying. When you about to bring it up, you have to consider all the context. But if you got to bring up in defense, it's finna be like, well, what about this? When you go do your research on that stuff, you supposed to get that context. You supposed to get the full understanding. My point is, that's what's happening. Is you're just looking at that one thing and be like, got it.
Nah. I think it's a lot to get into. You know, we can touch on what we can touch on. I think it's harder to get through to the believer who gonna rock with it and try to make a justification through the scripture. Then I'm more objectively looking at it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a biased scope that I'm personally using. I feel like I'm a little more open to just what's there. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to try to, make it try to fit. If it either fit or it don't fit. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not making it fit. I'm explaining things to you, and you're agreeing with me. I haven't said anything that don't make sense.
On certain things,
I'm just explaining things to you that I didn't make up. I
certain
just
things,
explained like, hey, this is what the scripture says. This was the context.
right?
I didn't make any of it
Things,
up. I'm just saying to you, and you're saying, yeah, I see that. That makes sense.
certain things, I can say, okay, I can agree with that, and I'm open to that. But if there's other people that, you know, like I say, who's supposed to be, you know, scholars on this thing, and they have something different, I got to go back to the drawing board. So it might take more than one time going back and saying, okay, I got the full context, because then I'm going to run into somebody else who's going to be like, nah, this is what they really trying to say. Like, you know how much that happened when it come to speaking biblical, you know,
you're 100% right,
verses
Will.
with
That's
people.
why I'm asking. No, real quick. That's why I'm saying you got to do your own research. Because right now you're saying I listen to this person and I'm listening to you. I would invite you to go read the word.
Now here it was. It was saying. It was saying when we talked about the slavery thing. That was in Ephesians, and what is that? Colossians. Two different ways of looking at it that come with different interpretations. That can be the thing to a degree also with what you're looking at. I can take different interpretations.
What's your interpretation though? What's your interpretation? Based on the whole chapter, based on the context, what do you interpret it as?
I interpret it as it's about 2,000 blatant contradictions in the book. So,
come on, Will.
Bro, it's there. Like, do you want me to show you?
What you interpret the slavery thing as, and you just said it's a whole bunch of. Come on, lock in with me.
Oh, all right. When it comes to the slavery thing,
let's get specific.
It seems as though either I take it two ways on the slavery thing, just from speaking to y'all and from listening to other people about it. So when I mix that all in together for me, it's either saying slavery is cool for your earthly masters, or either you're saying be a slave to the to what we're teaching you, to the doctrine itself, and that'll help you with, you know, with enduring whatever this world will try to sell you. You see what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from it. But either way, you're saying be a slave to something, and I don't rock with that. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to be, I don't want to be a slave to anything if I can help it, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to be as free as I could possibly be. So you telling me Ephesians 6:5, slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. You out of your mind. No, I won't. I will not. And then Jesus reaffirming slavery is okay. Colossians 4:1.
Real quick.
Masters, treat your slaves justly and fairly.
No, what you just did is you justified something that you feel was wrong based on how you feel.
Break that down.
Based on any context, you just say, "Hey, he said this, and I don't like that." You didn't give me any context. What did Jesus actually mean? What type of slavery was he talking about? What is fear? How is fear interpreted in biblical times back then? Like, there's so much extra stuff that you actually have to consider, and if you do a little bit of research, it's everywhere. That's my point. You just said he said this, and this, and I don't like that, and that's my argument. Come on, man.
No, it wasn't. But it's not just coming from me. Like, you hearing it from me, but some of the context that I got on it, like from other people, are saying that along with everything else that comes along with, I guess, Christ, or who wrote about what he said in his life. First, we got to establish do you really believe that that's something actually quoted and attributed to him? That's number one. So we can't even fully even establish that in real time to really even have this conversation.
Why would you bring that up then, if that's the case? If that's how you feel, why would you bring that up as a way to defend your point?
No. People will believe in stuff that ain't
Yeah, that's people.
touchable,
Well, people
huh?
are fallible. They suck sometimes.
But that's what I'm trying
people.
to. That's what I'm trying to say though. If somebody can't really prove that it was there to say, yo, I subscribe to this, but then backdoor and speak to somebody about logic, how can you do that if you're not being fully logical across the board? Like I said, nobody would deal with a person that
no.
Every time you see him, the story is different. You see what I'm saying?
Logic and reasoning and deductive thinking, deductive reasoning, you can utilize inference. It's done in science all the time. I'm going to come up with a theory, a hypothesis based off of the information that I have.
Right. So it's therefore a theory until it's a law. It's a theory until it's a law. So to say that, yo, this is the word and the infallible truth of the Lord, nobody should be saying that.
Okay, so nobody should be saying anything. Everything that we believe is what we believe, is what we know up until we know something more. So what you're saying is nothing matters because we don't know everything about it.
No. What matters?
You can't say anything.
No. You can say something. You can say something because, like you say, you can have a hypothesis. You can get your different controlled variables and substitute in and out, and have your control group, and then you can do, the proper scientific steps, huh?
You build out, and you scale based on your current knowledge.
Dig that, and the current knowledge that we have right now doesn't lend itself to having this being such a concrete stamp of the word of God that it can be critical of anybody doing anything else because it ain't stamped enough to do that. You see what I'm saying?
But it's a faith-based system. It's a faith-based system. In any religion, all religions, most
with
religions,
logic, right?
are built off of. No. I'm saying so when you're using logic is again based off of the information that you have available to you.
Right.
The Bible is what we're basing it off of. So all I'm saying is look at the Bible in the context and then base it on that, not base it on just what you heard.
Right. Well, we're basing it on
utilize reasoning. What you're doing is arguing from a bias. I already don't believe in the Bible, so everything I look at is going to say is going to align with my existing beliefs. Which is why when you say things like, and I'm not knocking you, I'm just pointing out something that people do in general when they're not being objective. Every argument you brought up just today, I'm just gonna focus on today, not because you've been on the show before. Every argument that you brought up today has been in against Christianity. A good amount of them have not taken into account a lot of outside context. You just like, this is what happened, this is what said, without considering any other things. And I'm not saying that that's not normal. I'm saying it's not an objective thing. It's not logical to do that. You're not using deductive reasoning when you say, okay, this is the information that I have. You're not even utilizing all the information that you have. You're only using half of it.
Nah, I think I'm posing maybe a question or an observation, right? And within that question or observation, there's a level of, I guess, logic in that on what I've seen and observed, right? Like there's a level of. Go ahead.
I'm not knocking none of your questions. We've been answering the questions, right? I think we've been answering the questions. No one said you can't ask questions, but when we're asking questions at some points or statements, when you've been asked to defend those, you've brought up certain points that don't consider the context. That's the only thing I'm addressing.
The context.
If you're just asking a question like, "What about this?" or go ahead.
Right, but 9 times out of 10, and like I say, it's not just with you guys answering; it's with other people I'm looking at, like people who've been in the pulpit 30, 40 years, who some might look at and consider even more, of stamped scholars than us, guys who know this thing inside out, back and forth. You could take them. You ain't even got to look at me. You could take them cats. I'm trying to take everybody's situation into consideration and then using that to formulate what I think that I'm seeing, reading, observing, and the whole nine. But when you got people who got that much expertise, that much scholarship, you know what I'm saying? And they're saying themselves that, yo, you're finna get mixed messages from this. You can't.
And I agree with you. So
Right.
I asked what context I asked what your interpretation of the slavery thing was. What context are you considering? And you said a bunch of other stuff, but what context are you considering when you say that the Bible condones slavery?
Right. If anybody is telling you to obey some earthly masters with respect, fear, and with sincerity of heart, as you would obey Christ, what does that mean if we're not of this world, man? You know what I'm saying? You're saying that, I guess, my death and going to the next plane of existence or ascending to the heavens with the Father is not that bad of a thing, then what am I fearing from any earthly master? You know, with my sincerity of heart, as I would Christ. Wouldn't you think that I would have more of a faith in where I'm going in the system than to just be like, yo, keep this process going with respect and fear? That means slavery would never change. It's only okay for Jesus to buck the system, but you're gonna tell me to respect and fear somebody? Now you're sending mixed messages, Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
And this is what I'm saying. You have to look at the context, what type of slavery he was talking about. You also have to look at the rest of the word and see where it condones stealing someone and selling them into slavery. There's a law, there's a limit on slavery. After so much time, you have to release this slave, because that's the type of slavery he's talking about. There's historical, cultural context that you have to consider when you say he's not just saying the thing that you're saying. You have to understand what he's referencing. You only look at slavery as one type of thing, as one thing. There's different types of slavery. There's slavery that people choose to go into to pay off their debts.
I can dig that. But I mean,
you didn't consider that when you said that God could condone slavery. When you said respect your masters, if you got debts to pay off and you chose slavery as the way to pay it off, respect that man. You got to abide by the rules of his house. You in debt to him.
Is that what he's talking about?
My point is, you have to consider that when you're arguing that. Go look at the word.
That ain't what me and a few other people took from it, though.
But my point is, that's because y'all are not doing the word.
These is pastors who did more work than you did. What you talking about?
Listen, it's just
you know what I'm saying? You shooting them down like they ain't did the work.
I'm saying go look it up for yourself.
And that's what I came back with, bro. And that's what I came with. That's what I'm coming with. Like, the Bible is self. That's what these preachers will tell you. That's what anybody who look at it.
Between the regulated forms of servitude described in the Bible and oppressive, dehumanizing chattel slavery that characterized later periods in history. Your idea of slavery is what Black people went through earlier, like more recently. Go back and understand what slavery in those times meant, what that was, and then come back and talk to me. Slavery is not one thing. It's not a monolith. There's different types of slavery. Slavery meant something different back then. Slavery could have been referring to a bunch of stuff. So all I'm saying is, when you think about these things, there's so much. It's easy research to do. Will, I'm wondering if people who are doing that, who claim to be scholars, are not saying it like that for a reason when it's so easy to find. You see what I'm saying? I'm not knocking them. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm
Right.
saying when you look at slavery, right? Does the Bible? I'm gonna just type it into Google real quick. Nothing crazy. Does the Bible condone slavery? The Bible does not explicitly condemn slavery, but it does regulate it and provides moral principles that led to its abolition. Different forms of slavery. It's important to distinguish. Okay, just what I said. The Bible's instructions are seen by some as a way for God to work within the existing societal structure.
Right.
Just like now, and this is how the faith works. This is what I'm saying. Like when you look at it, you have to understand how it works. God is not a genie. God is not the one that comes down and says this is right, this is wrong, y'all can't do any of this and makes it happen. Right? That's why you can sin and I can sin and not be immediately wiped off the world, because we have free will.
But God don't wipe people off though, straight off the sin. Like what we saying? We might not be out
I
of here,
understand what
but
you're saying. That's why
biblically he done wipe people out. Biblically, he done wipe folks out right then and there. Then he done put, got babies took from people off the back. Like it's a whole lot that
babies taken from people. What are we talking about?
What was that when my man was like all the firstborns gotta go because of what they parents did? What was that in the Bible? I'll find it for you right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold on.
That's in defiance of God. He was okay. So if we're talking about,
I'm saying there's so many people in defiance of God.
His people were in slavery. He did all of that to get his people out. So so you're bringing that statement up, and this is what I'm talking about, man. You bring that story up to defend but it's literally in direct contradiction to the thing that you said before, that God condones slavery. If he condoned slavery, he wouldn't have sent those plagues upon Egypt to free his people from slavery. That's why you got to understand what we're talking about. When there's a wider.
So the plagues that was on Egypt was some of their kids got murked out. That's what you're telling me.
And yes, and frogs and blood. Yes, he said.
Kids, what kids had to do with that? What kids had to do with that?
Again, that's the law. That's a deity who decides that he's going to do something. Because keep in mind, I want to point out, he sent his man to ask peacefully, hey, let my people go, get them up out of here. He hardened his heart against him.
Right. Why would you harden his heart to make him move that way?
This is your understanding of morality.
So God hardened his heart. God hardened his heart. You just said that, right?
Correct.
So where's the free will if you harden my heart? Where's my free will to choose what I'm gonna do or not do? No. I'm serious though. Like how's that free will if you're interfering to harden my heart to not do or do something just so you could do or not do something? You see what I'm saying? That book gonna play with you. That book be playing.
You're proving my point because you're harping on only the negative aspects. That's fine.
I'm saying he did that. He did that. He was like, yo, David, you could send this dude out here to get murked out, smash his wife, and hey, man, you ain't gonna die. You know
why did you attribute that to God? Didn't God condemn that behavior? Didn't he have to repent for that?
Nah, you said
for doing that.
You said that cats get snatched up.
What you just said. No, I'm addressing what you just said.
Right, because it shows the movements of God as playing favorites and being inconsistent with these, or inconsistent with the free will.
Punished for those things.
No, you're inconsistent with the free will and the punishment. You're gonna harden a heart. I mean, you interfere with what this man feeling in order to do something that you wanted to do.
No.
So if death is the penalty,
he already actively disobeyed the commandments of God. He already did that.
Right. So what is hardening his heart doing?
It's hardening his heart means a refusal to listen or obey what God is saying through his word or his messengers.
And God put that on him to be that way. God God hardened his heart himself. He interfered to do that.
At least read the scripture, Will. Come on, man.
That's what it says. Show me where it didn't say that. Show me where it didn't say that.
Where is that in the timeline of that scripture, in that story? Is it at the beginning or is it at the end? And then go find out what harden his heart means.
Right. All I'm saying is this.
You're utilizing your current understanding of English the way it's in a whole different language. You have to go understand what those things meant in the Bible.
I think I may have to. I think I might have to.
That's all I'm saying is go do that research.
But
before you pull that up.
That part ain't gonna fix the contradictions though. Like you can't
What's
say
the contradiction?
I'm finna go down the list, man. It's so many, it's crazy.
No, but I don't even want to hear. You know why I don't want to hear your list? Because I don't believe that you have real context on any of them. You just said, like, I think I might have to go actually do my own research. I think you should before we had this conversation. I think you need to go understand the language a little bit better, right? Go understand what things meant back then. Go understand context around things. Read the whole chapters where you find these scriptures, not just that one or two scriptures. Those one or two verses, excuse me. Before you had this conversation with secondhand knowledge, essentially, go do that research yourself. Go read for understanding. Go understand what was happening, and then come back and let's talk about it.
Because that's what I took from it, though. That's what I'm taking from it. When I looked at
you only talking about that one verse. Go read the whole scripture. The one
we done named by how many verses we named? Oh yeah, that part. You know, okay. Let's take this. All right, I'm gonna go to the contradictions, and then I'm gonna come back right here. But check it out. Number one contradiction.
We're not gonna do that.
I know, because nobody want to get into that. Nobody likes to get into that.
What I'm saying is you haven't even shown that you have full context. You're about to read off a list that somebody else made that you haven't even fully researched yourself.
We all getting somewhat of secondhand knowledge on this subject.
Correct, but
we're researching other works.
Research. Yes,
bro.
Both sides though.
Where do you think I'm pulling? Where do you think I can pull the videos and the links I'm gonna send y'all with these pastors from? I just pulled them from nowhere. No, I told you I was listening to these cats. That is a form of research. I've read certain scriptures. I have, a Bible or two, a Quran or two around the house. Like it's like if they saying it and I'm saying it and you not saying it, then who's really right or wrong? You see what I'm saying? Like it's real murky with no good concrete explanation for it. Especially when you get to preaching or teaching out of a book with this many blatant contradictions. But then it's like, oh no, this is what they meant. How when it's this many contradictions? How can anybody really concrete say this means this when it's 2,000 contradictions in a book? It say the earth does not last forever. Ecclesiastes 1:4, the earth remains forever. But then you go to Peter, you know what I'm saying? And then it's new heavens and new earth now.
The Bible is one of the most translated texts. It might be the most translated text of all time.
So basically, we're getting something that's been in so many hands.
You can go wherever you are right now and find a Spanish-speaking person, and the way they say something to you is not going to translate directly. What they say is going to mean something different to you in English, and it's going to be a direct. What I'm saying is you're looking at like, oh, the Bible contradicts itself as opposed to the different versions, the different interpretations, people. The word you're saying, how can you say that this is, bro? When you look at things, the easiest thing to do is attribute it to people. When you translate it, there's going to be things lost in translation. That happens with any translation, not just the Bible. People guess what? Sometimes when you have somebody preach something, they don't fully understand. You know why? Because they're human. They're gonna give you their definition, how they understand it. That doesn't mean like, oh, you know what, the religion is wrong. No, that person was wrong. And it's so crazy that we take that stuff and we don't look at, okay, he said that and that don't really align. What does another Christian say? What does the Bible say? Go do. And that's what I'm saying is like, we look at so things, we're so quick to be like, nah, Christianity is whack because it has contradictions without considering why or where those contradictions come from. And all I'm asking is just do the research about why this stuff happens, how it's happening. Because
but
I'm telling you,
until that can be something that's concrete and understood, how could I go out there and push it to people or conversate with them or push it on them as some type of concrete commandments of word of God? Because you got man writing so many different books they put together with so many different translations. I would be crazy to stand on that as coming directly from the source like that to be professing it. I would fall back because I ain't I ain't got the equipment to be like, yo, I stand on this. Why would I stand on something that's shaky?
Real quick, there are things as a human being, as a black man, that you stand on that you cannot be persuaded from, that might be wrong, that might be inaccurate, but it's what you believe, Will.
When I find out that it ain't right in exact, if I find out it ain't right in exact, really?
Bro,
I don't know, man. Like
everything that you believe has been hardcore proven with facts. Everything that you believe, there's nothing that you were raised with that you was like, you know what? This is what I believe. This is my belief. This is how I interpret it. It's what I stand on. You can't get me off of that box.
No, eventually, yeah, I'm open. That's my thing. I gotta be open enough to be open. I can't be closed enough to say, yo,
but until you're disproven, that's what you stand on. That's what you're gonna tell people. You got kids, Will?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You teach them what you know, what you grew up with, what you believe, until someone showed you explicitly that is wrong. But that doesn't mean you can't be wrong while you're teaching it. It just means you don't know that yet. It means you don't understand that, or no one's proven it to you. But as a parent, you're going with the best way that you know how, the best interpretation, because your mandate is to raise your child. You can't not raise him because you don't know that everything that you grew up with or believe in is 100% pure fact. You're doing the best you can as a human being.
And the way I kick it to him, the way I kick it to him, and the way I give it to him, I won't give it to him as concrete. I'm gonna give it to him as this is out here.
Will
do the knowledge to it. I'm not finna say, yeah, we all. Like, I didn't raise my kids. Yeah, I was raised.
Children in your house. You had rules in your house that you grew up with, that you believed to be right at the time. They're children. They don't know. They're ignorant. Right? Hey, this is law. Now, when they grow up, they might be, but until then, in this house, coming from me, this is what we do here.
Right.
And I'm not saying that somebody might not come in and be like, hey, Will, the way you raise them is a little off, and here's why, and blah, 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 right? And you might be like, damn, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. But the point of the matter is, while you were teaching it to them, that's what you believe. And that's what they believe until, hey, this is what my father taught me. He is the authority. This is what he taught me. I don't know nothing else. Until maybe somebody disproves the will, and will say, you know what, baby, I was doing the best that I could when I taught you that, and I just found out some information. Someone was able to kind of really walk it down to me, and this is not as accurate as I. But again, that doesn't mean that you as a father were wrong when you taught them that.
I agree with that.
Or your intention, I'm saying, your intention. You may have been wrong, but your intention was, I'm doing the best I can with the information that I have, the way I understand it.
I agree. I agree with that. So, I agree with that. Now,
okay.
Oh, go ahead. I totally agree with that. I just feel like
that same latitude to people who may be right. There's contradictions. There are inaccuracies. There are misinterpretations all the time. That has nothing. That doesn't disprove or discount. That's the word I'm looking for. Discount the religion, the overall the overall message that Christianity has. And I'm not saying everyone has to believe it. I'm saying you can't look at people who get things wrong in the Bible and be like, see, they bad people. They're trying to mislead you. That's not the case all the time.
Nah, I wouldn't say maybe the people that's in the book, but the people that put their hands on it, allegedly proofread it, compiled the books, and maybe added in their own sprinkle of flavor to it.
Still people.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. So I can't sit up here and profess that to anyone, let alone my kids, that this is the absolute to rock with. I would tell them it's out there, and I would pretty much stress more of the golden rule, being a good individual to them. But I'm not going to put something on you and tell you that is the concrete word when I don't even know that that's the case. And that's where I feel like,
no, we just talked about this. When you teaching them something, you don't know that it's concrete. When you teach your kids, you don't know that that's concrete. It's concrete as far as you're concerned. Until someone proves you wrong, that your intentions are pure.
But here's what I'm saying.
Automatic. You say you can't teach them that if you're not sure it's concrete, but I just gave you an example where parents do it all the time. I don't know this is concrete. As far as I know, it is. I'm gonna teach my kids because that's my mandate. My mandate is to teach kids and raise them the best that I can. You're saying, on the other hand, how could you spread the word when you don't know that it's concrete? It's the same concept. I'm spreading the word the best that I can with my understanding of it. My intentions
what I'm saying
to
is
introduce you to Christ.
This what I'm saying. Nowhere would that be acceptable for you or your kids. Like if I'm explaining to them something that I feel may be real, and I have a conviction that this is what it is, so I'm teaching them until something else is put in front of me, or I'm provided with an alternative, way of thinking or information. I dig that. But I'm saying, I think that's how things go and how they operate anywhere else, except when it comes to this particular book. For some reason, that logic don't fly. It's like Noah's Ark. It could tell you in one chapter, okay, you got two of every animal. One male, one female. And then later on, it says something mad different. We would not introduce somebody like that to our kids.
Something mad different?
Yeah, man. It's
what is say mad different about
the number of animals Noah took on the ark? Genesis 6:19-20. It said God commands Noah to take two of every kind of animal, one male, one female, onto the ark to preserve their species. However, in Genesis 7, chapter 2-3, the instructions are different. It says stating that Noah should take 7 pairs of clean animals suitable for sacrifice and 1 pair of unclean animals. So which one is it? Which one is it? Which one did Noah take?
Those are two different things. He took those animals to preserve them, and then he took clean animals to sacrifice them. That's two different things, Will.
It
says
sets
of instructions for two different things.
It says Genesis 6 said take 2 of every animal.
A male and female, every animal need to be on this boat. So after this flood, they can get out there and repopulate the earth. But also, you're to make a sacrifice to me. And for that sacrifice, this is what I want.
Right. So 7 pairs of clean animals and then a pair of unclean.
But what does it say is for?
It says should take 7 pairs of clean animals suitable for sacrifice and 1 pair of unclean animal. It didn't say nothing about sacrifice. It only said for the clean animals suitable for sacrifice, and then it says 1 pair of unclean animals. So which one is it?
It's saying what is it saying it's for?
The one unclean one?
Different sets of instructions. So what you're saying is that you think that the second set of instructions was also what should have been on the boat, and that's it.
It don't specify.
On that list, go read the book. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the
Just
book,
you
but
arguing
here's
from a
here's
list
the thing,
somebody
like
else
we
put
just
together
talked
with no
about. Here we
basis.
just talked about, right? When it came to
Come on,
I guess it was Pharaoh
man.
and David. It was David.
Killing me.
No, I'm saying you were okay. Does God forgive people? Yes or no?
What?
Does God forgive people? Yeah or nay?
Yes.
I don't know. It says a stark declaration was different. It said there was people that he wasn't willing to forgive, bro.
No. You asked, does God forgive people? You didn't ask, does God forgive every person?
Okay, all
Those are
right.
that's two
That's a
different
good one.
things.
Okay,
There's two different
okay.
things. You can forgive people in your life every day. There's some things that you're not gonna forgive, and you just a regular human being.
That's a
This is
fact.
God.
That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. All right, let's take another one.
No, Will.
No, because I'm
Get off
saying
that
like
list.
these
Get
is
off that
numbers.
list. That list is just presenting stuff to you, and you didn't even consider that it was two different things. Will, we can't have this conversation till you go do that research and get the proper context. You just reading to me off a list that somebody else put together with a clear agenda.
You think so? They didn't write the book.
You didn't even consider that God didn't mean that. It doesn't mean that God didn't forgive everyone. You said, does God
I can
forgive
take
people?
that one. I
Yes,
can
he
take
does.
that one. I feel that.
But
I
no,
feel
I'm
that.
saying that whole list is gonna be built like that.
Some of the
The
list
whole
is
list
a
is gonna be
simple
built like that.
thing. Some of the list is things
Two
as
different
simple
things.
as contradictions in numbers. It's like, yo,
Two separate sets of instructions for the animals, and one is
no,
a completely different ask.
not just Noah
One
though. I'm
is a
saying
different ask
no. This is
for
not
different
even with
things.
Noah. I'm talking about like where they'll say a certain dude's parents was Bob and Kathy, and then another place else, the same dude, Bob and Kathy ain't his parents no more. It's Cindy and Craig. How is that? Is somebody lying? You only got your parents, and we know the name. Why is it two totally different names like that? Is it the alias name that you didn't tell us about?
Will, let me ask you a question. How many times am I gonna have to easily disprove these things, or at least give you a different perspective that you didn't consider before you start reading down this list and just throwing stuff at me? Because it's again, every time I disprove it, you just like, all right, let's go to the next one. I'm not here to disprove everything. I'm trying to say, when you do that, be objective. You do your own. That's the whole point of this Vulcan Soapbox. Get this understanding on your own. Not that whoever made that list has an agenda. All I'm saying is go read this stuff for yourself and actually look at the whole thing. It says in the thing, hey, I need two separate sets of instructions. This is what needs to be on this boat, and then this that are good for sacrificing is what I need. But you read it the way they meant you to read it and didn't even consider that different wording means different things. That's all I'm saying. Like he literally said suitable for sacrifice. And I'm not knocking you. I'm saying each time, for the most part, each thing that you presented has I've been able to say, like, are you considering this? All I'm saying is when you bring these things up, have considered the whole thing.
That's what I think we doing with the yeah, that's what I think we doing with the dialogue and the discourse.
Yeah,
you know,
all I'm doing is I'm just offering different perspectives. I'm not even saying yay or nay. I'm saying, did you think about this? And you're like, nah, I didn't consider that. I'm saying, you know what I mean?
I'm open to say, yo, okay, well, maybe
go actually do the research before we can have a real conversation about this, because you're operating from a place where you haven't even considered the full context of these things.
Now, I'm gonna say where I'm operating from. Some of them I'm open enough to be like, yo, I feel where you coming from, and I say that. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that makes no sense. Nah, if it makes sense to me, I say, all right, well, that makes sense. But it gets so deep to where, like I say, you're, and this ain't the Noah one. It's a whole other situations where it's numbers and names and places that's just totally.
Why didn't you lead with those, Will? Why you ain't lead with those? If those were the ones that you're more sure of.
I was just
Why you
going
didn't
down
do
the list, like just going.
That's what I know. That's what I'm saying. You just going down the list. I need you to go through that list and go do your research. Go actually look for understanding and context, and then let's explore that list. Because right now you just going down the list and be like, okay, that didn't work. Let's try this one. I want you to understand these things for yourself. Now, hold on real quick. I apologize. We actually still on this live stream. They definitely gonna edit this out, but I'm gonna play us out. I'm gonna play the outro, and then we're gonna go ahead and we can continue this after that. All right. So appreciate y'all for coming to the Vulcan Soapbox. I know we went a little bit long. We're probably gonna cut this. But appreciate Will for coming, all of our other guests. We're gonna go ahead and get up out of there. Until next week on the Vulcan Soapbox. I'm here to stand on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
This is the hottest show on the planet right now.
What's the debate?
Ain't no debate.